Alright everyone, welcome. This is Iron Monstre here for one last time, at least for the known future, with you with Iron Saga Versus. Here to talk about the general state of the game, what's going on now, what's going on in the future, answering your questions. Polar Bear, hey, thanks for dropping by. Thanks, man. I'll also be making a little tier list. Do note that I haven't been competing, of course. I've been working for the game, and I haven't been able to see that many of the smaller tournaments. Of course, I've watched the TNS. I've watched a few other events, but recently I haven't had much time to see the competitive, so feel free to make fun of me, to disagree with my tier list, to say that I'm out of date. That's the point, right? That's the point of a tier list. It's to have a little discussion about it. Joining me behind, Mazinger Z and Shingetter3, perched on the Ashura box. They're helping me out. So big thank you to them. Also, I got a little bit of news for those watching. It's not a huge bit of news, but it's news nonetheless. So, TNS, the final TNS that we have currently paid for will be this July 27th. So, and so we have right here final TNS. So if you can make it, of course, participate. Again, we're offering a prize pool of 500 USD, so that means at least 250 to the winner, and with possibility of it growing. Of course, it will be on a Match Arena, which we're partnering with. So if you participate, you get a title. If you win, you get a title, and if you contribute to the prize pool, you also get a title, all of which can be used in-game. So yeah, we'd love to see that. Now, let us start this tier list. So I've made this little tier maker, which you're welcome to use as well. I've posted it in the... yeah, it was... So, to answer Pleased World, it was initially on the 13th, but the team has requested for it to be on the 27th instead, because that will mean Mods and Kaiser will be available. So Mods and Kaiser is releasing on the 17th. It will be a free update to the game. It is an arsenal for Mazinger Z, so it will be its third arsenal. They share a lot of moves together. So that's why they kind of did it. They wanted to have both Shingetter and Mazen Kaiser in the final TNS. So, yeah, that's a little bit of news that I wanted to share. Now, my friends, let us talk about this video game, and more specifically about who we think performs well in the game. Of course, it's impossible to have a perfectly balanced game. And no matter what we put here in this tier list, I still think pretty much everyone is usable competitively, maybe except what I'll be putting in the D tier. And I think you will be surprised, because my opinions are different than a lot of the people's various opinions. And again, feel free to disagree with me. Like I said, I'm a bit behind on what's been going on in the more regular competitive scene. That said, I am pretty happy with how we've seen almost every mecha perform well. You know, in a lot of different tournaments, we've seen almost everyone placing relatively high. So that's pretty exciting. So let's start. I'll only be doing the arsenals, except for the characters that don't have them, which will be predictions. Because that's fun. It's fun to talk about it. So, first and foremost, the one I've been talking about, the one I've been hinting at, Mazinger Z, Arsenal 1, bat 1,000. So this is an arsenal that's centered around projectiles. Mazinger Z has these recharging missiles. And as I was hinting at, and then I talked about it during the TND versus the iPhone stream, I think this is actually one of the best characters in the game, if not the best. The Chinese team has been telling me about it a lot. TND, like I said, is our associated pro player. He believes in this character for a variety of reasons, but especially Arsenal 1, which the community is divided. Half the people tell me, no, we've always said Arsenal 1 is best, whereas my memory tells me most of the community was more centered on Arsenal 2. Now, Arsenal 1, I think the number one thing about it, and guess what, we'll have a little look in-game, because it turns out I have the game, and the number one thing about it to me is the jump missiles, right? So this 5D, jump D, which you can be using by jumping backwards, by jumping forwards, jumping in neutral as well. Of course, the recharge time on the missiles is somewhat long, but if you go forward, you're in an advantageous position by 1 frame with this timing, but you can delay it, and look at that, 10 frame on block. It's kind of an insane move, and you can use it to cover your retreat and start zoning with the rocket punches, right? On top of that, if you're completely full screen, you also have access to this, to the Southern Cross knife, which you can actually do an action out of it right after. So you could do this into another normal. It's very hard to defend against, of course. From afar, they can see it coming. There's some anti-airs that'll go through it, or using break boost for the projectile invulnerability frames. But still, I think just these approach options make Mazinger Z Arsenal 1, on top of everything that makes Mazinger Z good, which, you know, it has the rocket punches, it had a really wide variety. Let's go back to it, you know, like things like 2C being a flash counter move that has such excessive range, the weird way 5A works where it gets this range up, a lot of really good anti-air options, including the fully armored 8C. Pleased world, a bit sad that Getter Robo does not have break boost. And on top of that, Arsenal 1 also gets an Awakening Super that's not just, you know, a reversal or damage buff. It allows you to control the screen with these rocket punches. So yeah, also having this sliding sweep, a nice little bonus, and armor on moves like this. I don't know. It's a very, very versatile arsenal. The Sonic fan says, but Shin Getter. Well, yeah, we'll talk about Shin Getter when we get there. For now, I am solidly placing Mazinger Z Arsenal 1 here. And sort of as a follow-up to that, I'll be putting Arsenal 2 in A. Now, why I'm putting it a little lower, I think it's more limited in its zoning options, as well as the Awakening Super being a lot more of a, not a gamble, but a kind of like, you know, like committal, right? Because once you turn it on, and if I don't have the arsenal to refill, right, you turn it on and it starts going down, and once you finish, then it's gone. So if the opponent can just kind of zone you out, and then it's over. It does, let's put him on no block. It does allow you to combo out of it, where you'll get a little bit of damage and some good advantage, right? But afterwards, and it's just that you can't use it to do a super damaging combo immediately like you could in the beta version. Again, it's still good, right? I placed it in A. It has all of the regular advantages Mazinger Z has, which we didn't even go to everything, but some amazing air-to-airs too that can start combos. This move, which is, you know, you can hold to keep some armor. It has frame 1 armor. I don't know. This character does so much. But I feel like compared to the versatility of the jump missiles, you know, you can't do Rest Hurricane unless you're at a very specific height and jumping forward. This here, the Photon Power Cruise, it has to cost gauge. It's about as good otherwise than the Southern Cross Knife, but because it's tied to your regular resource instead of on a separate one, you're more limited. Also, while the command grab is pretty cool, it has a very long startup, so I feel like anyone who knows what they're doing, they're probably going to see it coming. Mazinger Z does not have anything else that's grounded and really slow like that, where he'll glow golden, right? His only other grounded EX moves are going to be this, and I guess if you want to count it, Photon Power Cruise, but he does crouch down for that one. So I think overall it's a bit more predictable, and that's why I'm placing it in A, which is still very good, but not quite there. Okay, up next, here's a really controversial one too. A lot of people would say this is the worst character in the game. Boss Bora Arsenal 1 Rolling Tactics. So, unlike Arsenal 2, which has a lot more versatility, the poor Rolling Tactics Arsenal is rather limited. It's kind of weird in how it combos, and I won't be able to perform that well here. You can, like, OTG if you're in the corner, but that's really specific. And it also has the rather unfortunate mechanic of dizzying yourself, which in most situations will be a problem. You could use your Awakening Super to get out of it, but uniquely it's the only character that has, well, it used to be the only character with 2 Awakening Supers. Now Shin Getter, Arsenal 1 has multiple, but Arsenal 2 as well. But this anti-air grab does a lot more damage, and you can follow it up after a variety of things. Now, that said, this is a really hard character to deal with because this rolling, now remind me whether it's armored or it's just like invulnerable to stuff. It's a very strange move. Oops, maybe not come on, give me a little counterattack. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so it'll... I don't want it to trade. Okay, is it no longer... Am I getting punked here? This used to be armored. Maybe it's a lot worse than I thought. That'd be funny. Let's see what advantage we have. -10. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, well, this is embarrassing. Because I thought for sure it had either invulnerability to certain moves or armor. And maybe that has been taken away. It may have been in a beta build. I thought for sure it was on launch. That's it. It might just be low profile. That could be possible. Okay, that said, no matter what you do, you can always go into this roll backwards to make most things safe. Now, of course, you're dependent on this dizzy gauge at the bottom, but if you crouch, you can make it go away faster. And the same kind of applies to the air, where you also have the option of like doing a funny cross-up. And I think people are kind of sleeping on that. On top of having this relatively long range, you know, like... Oh, that's not the right input. Oh, it's just a backward circle. This relatively long range command grab that does pretty decent damage. Of course, it does not combo. And you can get a little more damage if you time it right. For some reason, the damage is worse if you time it wrong. So, you know, don't do what I do. But if Boss had a frame 1 invincible roll, it would be too OP. I mean, probably, but the idea is for... Oh, I get the joke. It's because another character has... Well, I wouldn't want it to be frame 1, but I'd want it to make, like, for a threatening approach, and perhaps I'm wrong in that. But it does have a reversal in this, right? You do have to mash it, otherwise you'll be very minus. You have to mash the dizzy afterwards. But this reversal is both grab and vulnerable and armored on the first frame. So you can get out of a lot of sticky situations with it on top. So, regardless of it all, of course, it's not a top-tier character, but half because I'm a fool and I believe, half because I'm making a video to drive engagement, I will place Boss Barad Arsenal 1 in B tier. Yeah, think about it. I believe in this. I believe in this robot. I think he's powerful, and this game is underexplored. In the few good gameplay footage I've seen of this robot, I felt it. It's a tricky one. Boss A1 is definitely a knowledge check. I don't think it's limited just to that. That said, Boss A2, if I'm placing Boss A1 there, that means, yes, it's better. Of course it's better. And that's why I'm placing it in A tier. I really believe in Boss's Treasure. Boss's Treasure can make every single move safe if it has the item. And it needs to get to the item. You're very dependent on the start RNG for these two items, but making this slide, like this slide into Balloon is just, sure, yeah, let's go. And then if you have a wrench, which I started with, you can do so many fun things with that, where, even though he hit me, he gets a wrench on his head. On top of that, let's get a few items here. You can even, use it on a grab, and then look at that good Oki. The damage isn't amazing, but, there's just so much fun stuff you can do with this character. The bomb, you choose whether you roll forward or backward to trick them further. The fan also can be used after almost every move, not the slide though, but to just make it safer, to complete the combo. On top of that, you get this amazing Awakening Super that causes 140 damage and a wall bounce. Yeah, they nerfed the super. It's not as good as it used to be, but it still does a lot of damage. And for some reason, it's still overall a better super than the other arsenal because it rerolls your weapons when you use it. And so that's why I think, yeah, this character is still very good. I do think the nerf is pretty harsh, and who knows, maybe seeing the nerf to the super would change my ranking of it a little bit. That said, this is a character that's going to be using his gauge to create items more often than not. And so that's why placement, A tier. Boss was too strong, obviously. Well, as you can see, according to my placement, I still think he's strong. Also, he has one more HP than Mazinger Z. Makes you think. Alright, up next, Great Mazinger. Simultaneously, Mazinger Z's big brother and little brother, since he came after, but he's like a big guy. He's great. Great Mazinger Arsenal 1 Deathbringer. People are telling me this is busted. It's pretty interesting because when the game released, a lot of people were playing this character, and then it kind of dropped down. And then now everyone's telling me, see, Sonic fans saying Great Mazinger has no weaknesses. Well, I think it's good. I don't think it's as great as its name says. I've been talking to one of the designers quite a bit. He was with me during the Evo Japan event, and his opinion is that Great Mazinger is not great. And I'm inclined to believe it. I do think he's exaggerating a little bit, but... And of course, Arsenal 1 is above Arsenal 2 spoilers. That said, I think a lot of his stuff ends up being pretty obvious or predictable, besides the sword throw, which is limiting because you lose your sword, right? Like this, it's really good. It goes really fast, and the sword cooldown, even if you don't pick them up, is pretty quick. It's one of the fastest cooldowns in the game, and you can use it after you do a drill pressure punch too. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, and you can go into super from there. The special move, this one here, well, I missed it, but it's a very good OTG or combo ender. It's generally pretty good, but the normals themselves, like this is good range, this is fine, but the other two, they're not particularly good once you know what they do. Like, yeah, there's a bit of a knowledge check where this is a sweep, but going beyond this one is not particularly useful. 2C as fuck. It's a very good move. And that's why, you know, I didn't put him in D tier. I do think he's good, but I think people are glazing it just a little too much. I haven't seen it perform that well. Compare Great's 5C and Z's 5C. Okay, but they're different move. Like, you have to compare the entire character, not just individual moves, right? Like, some moves are going to be better than others. This character's not unplayable. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I put it into B tier. I think this is a good character. I just think there's stronger ones, right? Yeah, I do think this move is good in combos. Not a huge use in there. This is fine, too. A little bit slow. The jump D is pretty good. It's a huge cross-up. Better than the Arsenal 2 version. Limited mid-screen conversions. Now, the thing that I was told as well is that it's one of the less good grabs because of the pushback. Because if you dash in, you only have 1 frame advantage. So that's one of the bigger disadvantages of this character in general. Yeah. But there's more to it. Still, I didn't put it bottom tier. You know? B tier is fine. It's not bad. C tier is okay, too, right? Like, it's only D that it's a little bit more of a struggle, which is where normally my colleague would want me to put Arsenal 2. But I believe in it, if just a little bit, especially with the buffs. But even before that, I kind of believe in the funny little trickiness of it. So the thing about Arsenal 2 is, no matter what you do, you can always convert one boomerang move into a second one. It has to be a different one when the boomerang comes back. Or you can also backdash it, and that loses you the boomerang for a little while. They've buffed this quite a bit, where... Oops, that's the wrong one. I gotta wait for the boomerang. But now the boomerang actually has a hitbox when coming back. Not sure what's a good knockdown here. Let's see. Well, imagine I timed it. I'm not streaming the game, thank you. I know how to stream. Alright, so boomerang here. Boomerang here, it's okay because I didn't do the thing I wanted to do anyways. Let's see. What do we got that's a good knockdown on this character? Yeah, see, so this kind of thing where the boomerang coming back hits now. You got a little bit more of possible setups with that, especially with this, right? With the charge move, which always loses you the boomerang, but it's worth it. It still also keeps an okay cross-up. Of course, it's not as large as the Arsenal 1 version. But But I don't think this character is incapable. I do think it's fine. But if you are curious, the best player besides Tiendi, who is a pro gamer at the office, believes that this is the worst character, or at least he did before the most recent patch. So that can be a little point of discussion for y'all as well. All right, up next, my guy, my love. We got Dankuga Arsenal 1. I think Dankuga Arsenal 1 is at the very top of A tier. Could be argued. Okay, down player. Listen, just because it won 2 majors doesn't automatically make it the best character. I think it's very good, top of A tier. But I don't think it's the absolute best, because I think it struggles a lot with approaching. Shoutouts to MechaFan82. Thank you, Spicy Crab. Yes, what an amazing player who showed what this character could do. Shoutouts to Haregoro as well, who did it Evo Japan. This character still struggles with getting in against projectiles, against good zoning. Of course, you have Break Boost always. This is good on everyone. But any of his other approach options from afar, they're very telegraphed. Especially if an opponent gets used to this this dashing command grab, which doesn't go that far, right? Like, it's not a full screen move. This move also very threatening, but very slow. So yes, even though he has very large range, from a distance, he does need to go in. Once he's in, though, yeah, it's quite a powerful character. And also, you know, like, they added this thing where you can, not only after drawing the sword, you can go into some sword normals, but you can also go into certain specials very fast, some of which are armored, right? So if you do like... Oh, okay. Oh, it's because this move has multiple hits. I am not testing with the right one. But a funny thing you could do while they guard... A grappler's a grappler. Well, see, the thing about Sword is he's half a grappler, and then he pulls out a sword, and he's a man with giant normals who just kills you, right? Because his damage is not the absolute best, but it's very easy for him to reach that damage. Can I no longer sweep after this? Am I crazy? Did they remove my sweep? They removed my sweep? Strange. Can I do it from this? Yeah, I can. Okay. It's very easy to rack up the damage with Dankuga. So he is a Sam Show Grappler. I mean, no one's really a Sam Show character, but yeah, I guess. But where did I want to go with this? Oh, yeah. If they're blocking, let's put them on guard here. You know, you can always kind of trick them by going into a... Does this move hit below armor? So armor moves are a bit weird in this game, where they're going to not necessarily resist low attacks, but rather attacks that are low to the ground. So let's see here. You draw the sword, and then, oh, we had a trade here because of the timing. But yeah, going into this, and pretend I timed it well. Oh, this is... Okay, well, you can use the EX one, which has amazing armor, which is also full body. It's just that kind of stuff. The EX one, however, is very unsafe, so if they do block it, you'd be in trouble. But the versatility of taking out the sword, also just removing it to retract your herd box, right? Doing things like that. Or just going into a special. Of course, his specials are relatively slow, but you could do something like that. So he's just a character that will, you know, like, challenge you to press a button. And if you do well, you're probably eating 300 to 400, or 500 if he wants to use super. And he doesn't want to use super that often. And even if he does, like I said, it's 500. Some characters can do 600 or more. But the damage is consistent at low energy. Yeah, the pressure reset with Sword is really good. But like I said, the reason why he's not in S is because he does struggle at range. For Dankuga, Arsenal 2. Now, I don't know if I maybe the weird, while it's bugged, maybe the missiles push it at the bottom of A tier. I'm going to consider it as high B for now. I don't think it's quite as good as Arsenal 1 because of how committal Arsenal 2 is compared to Arsenal 1, and because Final Dankoho, the Sky Cannon, goes away if you're hit. So now I don't have it. I need to use all my weapons for this very slow reload to put it back. So because of things like this, and it's not bad, right? I said top of B. Again, top of B is not bad. Just because something is an S tier doesn't make it bad in a video game. But it's because all his options, they're very strong, his cannons, but they're very committal, and if he just blocks, well then you don't have this 150 damage laser until you use everything else, which you might not get to in a round, right? That said, because it doesn't have the sword, it is better overall at using the grappling moves. It also gets this unique cancel from the pulse laser. This is the only move you can do after pulse laser that's not a super, into EX command grab. Unfortunately, you can't do the Beast King punch. That would be kind of nuts. The Fist of the Beast King, the armored punch. But yeah, and while it's kind of a weird zone, the missiles currently, as you can see, they're a little bugged. It just did 374 damage. I believe they're going to fix it sooner than later, but enjoy it while it lasts. That's more than supers right now. They do multi-hit. You can also do some pretty unique, and this is more like fun stuff than what makes this character good. But you know, like, if you were to do this, you can do some really funny things with the Sky Laser, where you could pick up after the Invincible Super, right? Because this Awakening Super is yeah, you can do some goofy stuff there. Of course, you wouldn't be able to use your super here because you've limit break. You could do it if you would. Let me try to remember. I think you break boost and use the OTG of the pulse laser into super. So you could do it there. As you can see, the damage is not amazing because the Awakening Super prorates a lot, being a command grab, but still, it's nice to style. But that's not really something that factors in its tier placement. It's just kind of like, oh, it works well with the final Dankoho, the Sky Laser, but usually you would probably want to use it after the kick instead. They have to be in the air first, I think. There, where... What's the timing here? Yeah, like this, where you'll have, like... where it'll hit, or, of course, the obvious one after this EX command grab, where you can hit with it and do all sorts of wacky combo stuff. And people in the Discord, they have the optimal combos if you're curious. So yeah, that is the reasoning behind my placement as B tier. Up next we have Getter Robo. Now a bit, I don't know if any of you were able to watch Diaphone's own tier list. But in his, he said, of course, they have to be placed next to each other. And I agree with that because they're technically the same character. Now, of course, some of the forms are going to be better in some situations than others. That's my honest mid-tier. Yeah, get a Robo. I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Unfortunately, I really wanted to see it perform more. I will say, of course, it's definitely better than Great Mazinger Arsenal 2. And there is some truth in Getter 2 being probably the least useful of the three. That said, I don't think it's anything like that, right? And that's even in a world where you don't change forms much. Of course, because you change forms, they have to be a group, but Getter is tricky to rate. They don't rely on each other, but Getter 2 is the weakest form. I do think it's a bit underrated. People haven't been tricky enough with Getter Vision. I think that is a big core of its kit, along with that 6B or 4B, that jump kick it has, which is a good low crush that that allows for some movement. A meterless command grab. I don't think he necessarily needs to work as a grappler. I don't know. I think it's more that a lot of his stuff is very limited in how he converts off of it and doesn't necessarily gain that much advantage. But I think it is a somewhat tricky character with a lot of, like fast-moving moves on the ground. In the air, it's kind of a pretty weak. But fast-moving stuff, and as well as some pretty interesting if-committal zoning options, right? It's definitely not to the level of anything like Getter 3 and, of course, Mazinger Z Arsenal 1, but it has some tricky stuff with the underground drill, and the drill missile is, it's there. It's probably one of the weakest projectile, but it's a projectile. So, we take those. We take those. Up next, I guess I could show off a little bit of Getter Robo gameplay. I don't have a lot to say about it, unfortunately, and I didn't get to see how the newly changed air getter change works. It does seem like something you need to get used to quite a bit, right? This one is probably the weakest into gravity press because it's very committal. Like if you're Getter 1 and you want to like fake them out, you can just air backdash. I think this is one of the really good things about Getter, is that Getter 1 has an air backdash. I just wish it had more out of it, like this jump tomahawk is kind of weak, and so you're very dependent on basically the two heavy moves, right? Jump C and jump to C, this body splash. And if they're jumping, like basically the best you can do if they're jumping is to air with jump AAA and maybe go into this, which is pretty much the only use for this move as well. Not a very damaging move for an EX anti-air grab. It does have huge range, but you kind of gotta know where they are, so we don't get to do much with it. It does have some pretty interesting paths with the Getter Tomahawk, and they will usually lead into something, so I think that is pretty good. The people demand Shin Getter Body Splash. Yeah. Getter 3 has insane everything. Yeah, it's obviously the best of the three forms. The kind of tricky way the missiles go, and the EX missiles being a little more homing, right? It's really good. The ability to move while you do most of your attacks, as well as this very long range on some of the normals. Pretty good flash counter here with this 5C. And of course, the tricky command grab, which you can also combo into, which goes into the Getter change attack. If you hit So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Getter 3, and this move is armored too, so you can use it to approach and stop people from like trying to contest your different. Oops, that's the wrong. Yeah, like this. So it has armor throughout quite a lot of it. So it's a pretty fun, tricky character. Also gets an air grab if ever. Not the most used air grab, but still nice that it's there, right? But yeah, Getter 2, like I said, I think people don't mess around enough with Getter Vision. The ability to go into it right after attacking someone, and even if they're blocking, let's see here, let's remove the, depending on which move you do, -6, well, -6 is punishable, but you could also just go backwards. There's just, like, a lot of tricky stuff you can do. See if you bait them or not. Yeah. I don't know. What song is that? A little bit of a preview. Getter Vision is an invulnerable, so it gets owned by mashing, and he doesn't have great frame traps. Yeah, that is a bit of a problem on the character for sure. It is immune to projectiles at least, so if you want to like weave in and out, and it will go like really, really far, like this, right? But is it an amazing character? No, and that's why, I've put it at the top of C. Can be fatal to get flash countered during Getter Vision. I feel like it will be somewhat rare for it to get flash countered, unless you're really throwing it out for free. But punished, yeah, unfortunately, there's some situations where that can happen. Alright, everyone's, oh yeah, please world, it's the air getter change is really good. That's also, yeah, the fact that, just a little bit of, that last getter. So you mean from Getter 3, you go into Getter change? Yeah. So you would go there, and you can either use an attack, which could even be your this weird dive move, or you can even go into another getter, right? You can like fake them out, like this. So yeah, there's quite a bit of versatility there. Unfortunately, its other air moves are not super. Is that Mawar speaking in French? What a guy. Yeah, well, you can only double change if you're going into Getter 2, because Getter 2 has free control after a change. Alright, up next, let's talk about everyone's favorite, Vasago Arsenal 1, which is pretty funny that it wasn't used a lot when the game came out. Yeah. Vasago Arsenal 1 is quite the stinker. He's a very powerful robot that can do a lot of stuff. His only small weakness, if in quotations, is that his grenade is subject to RNG. So it has a pretty short cooldown of 6 seconds after you use a grenade, and then you get one of the 3 grenades between ice, electric, and fire. But it turns out all 3 are good. On top of that, shortly after the game release, we got this move. Oh wait, did they do the thing that I asked? Oh, what a beautiful... I had never noticed this change. When... Oh, that's wonderful. When they first added this move, I requested a particle effect on the grenade to indicate that it is an active hitbox when you shoot it with the gun, since it is not an active hitbox normally, right? But it is if you shoot it with the gun, and it also costs an ammo. Does it stay on screen if you get hit? That it does. That it does. Let's cause a little bit of a... Yeah, it will bounce around and ruin your opponent's life. His grenade does not work properly on player 2, and yes, it does stay on screen. I've robbed people that way. Yeah, I've heard that there is some player 2 bugs, which is quite unfortunate. I hope they get around to fixing that shortly. Of course, if you've reported it in the bug section, which I know you guys did, they're aware of it. They'll work on it when they can, but of course, given all this situation, it might take a minute before some of the things get fixed. But anyways, let's talk more about this crazy character. So Vasago Arsenal 1 has these pretty good like long-range normals too, right? This really crazy 5C big sword. Does multiple hits, so it will eat pretty much every armored move. These follow-ups, though, I don't think they're very good, the follow-ups to the sword normals, but it doesn't matter. They're not very needed. Of course, he's got some pretty amazing combo potential as well by lifting the opponent up and doing all sorts of OTG stuff with the machine gun. The machine gun always pretty good, too. There's some ranges where you can make it plus. And always this, on top of having an active hitbox, this gun grenade also has, well, I missed it, but it has bounce mechanics, so if you hit it, you can volleyball it on your opponent. And so it's a really powerful screen control tool. On top of that, if you're willing to commit a little bit more, you can spend an energy and all your ammo to get this little bit. I do think it's used a bit less than this gun grenade now. Also because you can use like this low shot, which is a low attack, so you need to block it low. You can shoot it multiple times too. It's also one of the better air projectiles. It will sit at a pretty annoying height against a lot of characters. You don't have to shoot all three either. You can just kind of tease it. Kind of change your jump arc as well at almost any moment. So it's got some tricky stuff there. On top of having pretty decent combos. While the supers are nothing really incredible, there is like a, like a full screen laser beam. So that's something, right? It's not only a close range combo. So yeah, this character's insane versatility. Also having one of the better anti-air, both the invulnerable EX version and the non-invulnerable, just being really fast, really, really good anti-air. And with all of this, we didn't speak about the stupidest of its moves. The roll. This combat roll, which can be used in both directions, is strike invulnerable on frame 1. You can grab it, but yeah. It's a move in a video game. It's hard to punish, and it makes Oki against this character quite the nightmare because, as I've said earlier, he also has an EX reversal, right? He also has an EX rising move, but he has this on top. What a guy. What a guy. And so, this explains the placement of Vasago Arsenal 1 as S tier. Vasago Arsenal 2, I will put the bottom of A tier, I think. Or maybe the top of B even. I'll go with bottom of A. I think it's a very solid character. Despite the name, a little unfortunate detail about this character, the limiter remove part is not used that much compared to using the gauge for the shield. Now, when this character has full arsenal bar, it can turn a limit break into a transformation, which will cause some damage with advantage and gain him like different moves, including this different shield. But the thing is, it doesn't have as much of advantage frames compared to the non-powered version, right? Let's put him to no guard recovery here. Here I'm plus 20. You can use the air version as well after this jump kick, plus 21. It's kind of a pretty nuts move if you have a lot of charge. Even without full shield charge, it's definitely decent, and you see people use it in combos as well, right? You can do a lot of funny stuff with using shield to cancel a normal as well. So yeah, it just has a lot of versatility, very long combos that are a drain on your opponent's psyche. And what people have been telling me is that the sauce here, as people say, is that you want to do something unsafe with the advanced form to, wait, has this been removed? We can't see the game screen. Oh, my apologies. I keep forgetting to switch. Can he not limit break anymore? Oh, I see. So yeah. No, the idea is that you would limit break something unsafe in this mode and then transform instead, which will put you at -3. While it's not true advantage, it is unpunishable, right? By pretty much anyone. I don't think anyone has below 3, well, below 4 frame move startup, and then you just recover it. So yeah, the idea is just to make limit break safer. On top of that, yeah, just the idea of the shield shockwave. You need full arsenal gauge for limit break. Yeah, that becomes the little conundrum there, is how you're going to use it between the shield or the limit break. And a lot of players end up preferring the shield. It also has just this 2-frame advantage 5B, which on hit ends up comboing into hit itself, which is a little crazy, a little of a crazy detail. So it's just like, yeah, a character that can do a lot with a little. It still has a pretty decent anti-air as well with an EX reversal. A little less range because it doesn't have the sword, but not that big of a deal. Still, overall, less options at various ranges than Arsenal 1, and it doesn't have the combat roll. It doesn't have the grenade, so a little bit weaker here, which explains my placement of it. And someone's been saying that it has better results. I think people just like playing it. People have fun when they can do the really long, complicated combos. That's just the way some gamers are, and I respect it. Alright, up next, Kaguya, Arsenal 1. The fire sword. It's fun to watch too. Yeah, some people really like those longer combos. It's got a lot to show off. Kaguya Arsenal 1, the Crimson Moon. So people have been saying, both on the Japan side and the American side, that this Arsenal is busted good, but I've yet to see it. As such, I feel bad placing it anywhere above B tier. Still, we can talk about the justification for why this character is considered this good. So first of all, Kaguya, she has a sword, and in this game a lot of characters have a sword, but few characters use the full length of the sword for balance reason. Kaguya has a lot of normals that reach quite far, even her mediums. This one's a low too. Pretty good. A character that can combo its specials as well, It's pretty neat. You can do some stuff to make some moves a little safer by playing around with the flames. And the big thing is that, especially with the Awakening Super, but with pretty much any move that this character does, if you have full arsenal gauge, and that arsenal gauge will fill up when you use burning attacks on the opponent. But if it is full and you use a burning attack, you can pop that fire and gain a slightly advantageous situation. So it will make any unsafe move, right, if you do this, normally -9, turn into 1. And yeah, well, alleged top 1 Japan, one player is adamant in saying this. I've yet to see other Japanese players truly, you know, brag about it, but if Haregoro comes out and tells me this is the best character, I might be open to raising the placement on the tier list a little bit. The big reason people are saying it's so good is that you can do it from the Awakening Super as well, and the Awakening Super has invulnerable startup, has a pretty decent hitbox where you'll be able to do it here. Of course, on top of that, Kaguya is one of the 2 characters in the game with a character cut-in. So, you know, that's a morale boost, I guess. Makes you happy to see your pilot do a little more. Hopefully more in the future. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, she does also have really good anti-air game with one of the fastest, you know, rising reversals with an invincible EX version. Though, unlike Vasago's, it is a bit more comical where it will do both strikes even on a whiff. She's definitely top tier after that. Y'all need to calm down. But yeah, on top of that, the thing about Crimson Moon is it doesn't do a whole lot. Oh, it does have this, yeah. This move, somewhat, I feel like it used to be a bit better, a bit of a more subtle, a bit of a slower startup. Still, it's a decent overhead, EX overhead. Guard recovery, I don't know, might be D tier. But at least with this, you can make it safe. But yeah, this character, also, she has very good advantage after the grab, since she can just walk up and grab you again. The grab also causes fire, so you could, you know, if you're, what is it, 100 into 158. So if you're 50 away from killing, you know, just pop it. Very few characters can follow up after grabs. In the ones we've already seen, Boss Borat can do it, and Dankuga as well. They can both follow up after grab. Oh, I get the joke. I get the joke. I'll go back to Dankuga quickly just to and Boss Borat as well, just as a little thing, especially with Boss Borat. Well, both arsenals, but because Dankuga after a grab can only go into this body splash move, which, you know, if it kills, it kills. It's worth the 1 energy. And he can do this after almost all of his moves, right? And it is an overhead, so you can trick them into the double overhead with this, into this. But it is very slow, so as you can see, it loses to mashing. It's just interesting that you can even go into it from command grabs like this, right? So if you want to commit to the final little bit of damage. It also is a jumping attack, so it will go over a lot of low moves. And on a character that has a lot of armored moves that lose to lows, yeah, you could trick them with something like that, right? Or even like, you know, take the sword out and then go into the jump. You know, you can play around with it quite a bit. And then Boss Borat, the one interesting thing we didn't show with him, Enrolling Tactics has a little less options, but you can still go into roll, and which will add a bit of damage, but the damage is very low. But you can go into limit break and go into a full combo there. Of course, the proration is rough, but you could like misinput the super. Let's try that again. Come on. Here's the super. Let's get it right this time. Yeah. Okay. You hate to see it. Well, this is a bad time for most. Let's see here. You go into this. Yeah, let's do it like that. So, you know, just being able to do that kind of stuff, which is, you know, a lot of damage from a normal grab. Very few characters can do that much. That said, I do think the nerf to the base damage of the grab was a little too much. You can always go into this, which gets close to a normal grab's damage. And while the advantage is relatively low, you are on top of him, right? So that is quite a bit advantage, especially in the corner. You lose a little bit of distance when you're not in the corner. But still, it's an interesting way to deal with the grab, which a lot of characters can't. You know, remember when I talk about Great Mazinger? That's one of his bigger weaknesses. All right. So that was Kaguya Arsenal 2 right before Arsenal 1. Sorry, we're going to Kaguya Arsenal 2 Dark Wing. My opinion on it, honestly, people are kind of harsh on it. I don't think it's that bad. I do think the Arsenal gauge usage is a little weird, and I wish someone would prove me wrong, because all it really does is this kind of like weird dash that you can't even like go into from anything, right? It's this, you know, like this weird, you know, modify your jump arc, but it's very limited in its applications. It's not as good as something like a double jump from Qinglong, which we'll see soon, and that doesn't cost anything. That said, I think its other stuff is pretty decent, right? Like this move, Sting, I think, or Beak, just being able to threaten this range like that, and, you know, like, look at the advantage on it from full distance. Well, it's because he's punishing, but from full distance, you're at 0. A bit closer, it's slower, but very few characters will be able to punish from that range, and you can also challenge them a little bit with the follow-up, right? Or, what can you go into much else? 2D is pretty good for combo extensions. Yeah, so 2D is, I believe it is still a low. It is a full screen weird move. It is a bit risky, but at least you can make it safe with limit break. And on top of that, she also has an EX full screen command grab. You can't do much out of it unless you super or you limit break. But you can't even super out of it, huh? So unless you limit break. But if you do, there's some pretty good applications. Now on top of that, this super is pretty unique in that it's one of the very few supers in the game that you can combo out of. Along with that boss baseball bat super. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. The proration is pretty rough because it does those multiple hits, but still, just being able to do that, and you can even go into you know, your regular super afterwards, right? If I could input it correctly. It's just overall a pretty versatile character. It's just a little unfortunate that it doesn't have much. See if I'm forgetting any other move. Activating the thermionic engine feels like it's basically never worth it because you don't really use the flight that much. But I'd love for someone to prove me wrong, and you can definitely cross more of the screen than with a hover, right? With it. So maybe there's some stuff about the approach, but it's not that blazing fast. Maybe you can do some funny stuff with it in the dive kick, but the dive kick is, if I remember correctly, it's not even an overhead. Yeah, see, you can block it while crouching, and it is minus at most ranges. So it's not a very, like, threatening move. You could do some weird stuff where you Let's put him in the middle here. You know, like where you reverse dive kick like that, because you can control if you use it forward or backwards. But still, I don't know. I don't feel it that much. But I'd love to be proven wrong, right? Still, it has all of the advantages of regular Kaguya 2, right? I talk about how long the sword is, the great anti-air, so that's something good about the character. The good advantages on grabs, too. So still, low B, and yeah, controversially, where would I put it? Maybe not even that low. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sounds about right. Okay. Up next, Qinglong. Ah, Qinglong. Qinglong. Arsenal 1. We'll say Qinglong Arsenal 1 is high A. Below Dankuga for sure. If we're ordering our tiers a little bit, which is fun to do. But I do think it loses out in unique stuff to Qinglong Arsenal 2. It's still extremely good. Shadow Fists. Hence why it's, you know, near the top of A. They did nerf this quite a bit, didn't they? The way, like, you can't do as many things out of... Well, it still has this. Okay, that's not that bad. Going into some specials from this. But they nerfed the loop used to be able to loop this move into itself, which was quite wacky. You can still do a lot of specials from this, and you can loop it together with that. They nerfed it on paper. It wasn't applied to the game properly. Interesting. That explains it. You can also use this this forward fist as a weird Kara into the anti-air, on top of already having an air grab on both versions and a funny little cross-up kick. And of course the amazing double jump, which can be done in all three directions from any direction of a jump, which is usually high enough to evade some anti-airs. Now there are exceptions to this, but it goes above a lot of stuff nothing else would. This arsenal also gets some tricky command grabs, not incredible damage on the EX1, and the range isn't either. Very easy to punish too. Still, on this type of really fast character, having a command grab at all, pretty good. It beats other grabs, right? And you have the funny one. Now this one is slow enough that I don't think it'll catch a lot of people. I did see people do some resets, and it leads into a combo, but because it's from a command grab, you immediately get that 50% proration, so the damage penalty is quite high. But still, the ability of Qinglong in general, having a lot of very advantageous normals. So this one is +3, which is one of the best normals in the entire game, right? Since you're still in range to do a second one right after. And this one also being +1. Now, this is not a low. This, despite looking like a low kick, you can still block it standing. But still, incredible move. This one being +2, though a lot of 2As are pretty good. I get hit by that command grab all the time. It's like Great Sever. It's unreactable. Yeah, I don't think it's a reactable timing. It's just the range is pretty bad on it. And so you just need to prepare yourself if he's close. It's still a low for beating parry-type moves, though. Yeah, that's what I was explaining earlier, is that some moves are lows and won't beat parry, like Great Mazinger 2C. And this one, because the hitbox is low, will beat armor that can be beaten by low-profile moves. You know, like there's a difference. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this character has also a low sweep slide. I think they nerfed the advantage on it a little bit. But this character can make any move safe into the Electric Dragon Claw, and that move can also follow up a normal grab. So when I was talking about characters that can follow up out of normal grab, well, guess what? Qinglong can, and he can even go into, you know, like super, right? Awakening super. This character uniquely cannot combo into Power Max Super, the level 3, because it's a grab. It is an invincible startup grab that's a bit tricky to see coming, and it deals the most damage of any super in the game at 400. You can also do it outside of the regular parry, so I started with the regular dodge parry, right, and you can go into it. So there's a little bit of trickiness possible there. Still, most Qinglong players end up using EX moves over the super, but Arsenal 1 a little bit more than Arsenal 2. Of course, Arsenal 2 super is basically never seen. This one, you know, you'll knowledge check someone, you'll style on them, but even at even out of a flash counter, it doesn't quite combo. Still, probably the person will get hit. You know, they might not be holding jump right after that. Am I missing anything really important about Qinglong? I mean, they did nerf the range a bit on some of its stuff, but it's still, you know, it's still impressive that a character would get a move like this, and that move can go into other specials, which themselves can go into other specials again, right? So you can do funny loops like that, or just go into another move. And if you built up the electrons, you can use this electric dragon claw, which has so much range, goes into so much stuff. Still a pretty solid character. Most of his normals are either plus unblock on space traps. Yeah, the normals on Qinglong overall, just really, really good. But the unique normals on this one, a bit less good than the ones on Arsenal 2. Now, obviously, Arsenal 2 didn't get hit that bad with the nerfs. I will put it behind the other two S-tier characters, but it's still hard to deny this character. I could be convinced to put it at the top of A-tier, right above Dankuga. For now, I think I'll still respect it as bottom of S-tier. Still an incredibly powerful character because you gain those really, really good dive kicks. Now, of course, those dive kicks were nerfed, but the EX1 maintains an advantage, right? So it's worth 0 from this kick, but still, it's worth going into from a lot of stuff. Now, I do think this move is overrated in his arsenal. While the higher versions are plus by a lot, you can see +5 and the really big jump one as well. You saw, if you watched Diaphone versus Tiendi, these moves are too easy to see coming, and anyone who knows the timing will either be able to just get out of there because the hitbox isn't active until it's close to the ground, or they'll anti-area. They'll punish you for pressing it. And the small version, while it's an overhead, -5, so it is punishable from up close, and of course it's not a move you use from far away very much. That said, this move is a reversal for some reason. It's one of the better reversals in the game, while the hitbox of it is a little narrower than some of the other characters. God damn, it's fast. It reaches very far across the screen. I don't think I air-to-aired it on the fly-in bracket. Yeah, like I said, that move I think is a little bit overrated. But it's this kick and the really, really good parry. So as you can see, using the parry will consume that gauge, but it recharges in about 5 or 6 seconds, maybe even less. You do have to guess whether the parry is airborne, which will be like a mid or air move, or if it's low to the ground. But it's very good against, you know, like as an anti-air, and it goes into full combo every time. So, and I don't even play this. Wait, I probably have to use the low one here. Yeah, against this move, which is not a low, but It has a low hitbox. Well, both of them beat it, so tough to be Vasago. Yeah, you can go into a full combo. I don't know what the full combo is off of this, but believe me, you can. And yeah, the general funny air movements. You can also use this forward moving kick. Of course, it's not really something you want to be doing off neutral like that, because I think it's yeah, it's -9. Some characters will be able to punish it at that range, so it is a little bit risky. But the command normal version of it, because you're able to go into a special from it, you're able to play around with that just a little bit more, especially, you know, like -3 off this light dive kick, or you do the EX for a side switch and an equal advantage. On top of that, this character has the stomps too, and the stomps can be used to follow up anything. So a bit similarly, I don't know why they decided both versions of this character can go into a grab into this move, but it's another of the characters that can even awakening super from a grab. So definitely worth it to do that. You could also limit break if you want, though I don't know if you get that much from it. Probably someone can figure out a better combo off of it. The stomps will also make pretty much anything safe on block. So, you know, even this move that's -2, you put it, well, it's -2. I'd need something that's a little less safe, like the slide, right? The slide, which is normally -8, you make it safe as -2. So really good to use the stomps to make a move that would get you killed, and of course, afterwards you can parry whatever they have coming. Now, as I said earlier, the super, not very good. Not only do you need a full charge of the arsenal to use it, of course, it's a level 3. I didn't talk about this move. I'll do it after. But it's a very weird parry super. It does less damage than the command grab one. Just a little bit. I think it's 380. We can make him hit me to do that. Animation's really cool, though. You know, it's like this incredible sky combo. Yeah. Oh, 390. Okay, it's 10 less damage than the grab one, which, like, sure, but why? And given that people, they'll usually keep the gauge for the aforementioned, you know, like the really good EX move, that EX dive kick, that reversal, and the stomps. And so on top of being just a counter, you can't use it in a combo to tack on damage. People end up not using it very much. So yeah, it's a pretty unfortunate super as far as it goes. But yeah, the sheer power of the normals combined with the overall more usable EX moves, energy moves, justifies this max placement above its other arsenal, in my view. Now, what do we got next? We got Susanoo Arsenal 1. Susanoo Arsenal 1, in my view, is either at the bottom of A or at the very top of B. I think people also sleep on this one a bit in the way people sleep on Bosporot Arsenal 1. The strongest mid-tier. B is a bit above mid. Well, I guess, yeah. This is like B+. You know, this is slightly above average. The big thing about Susanoo Arsenal 1, which is both its strength and its weakness, is that it is the most reliable full zoner in the game, because it's the only character with a completely gaugeless air projectile that it can use in any direction at a lot of heights. You know, I can use it at the start of my jump or the bottom of it. So if I use it at the bottom of it, I can, like, let's see, the height is a little tricky here, but you know, like, you can make it into a safe approach, or if you use it early, of course, like, you can do even more stuff from it if they have to block it. Of course, it is one projectile. People who are you know, some anti-airs will just completely ignore it. Some people will be pretty good at weaving in and out of it. But the thing is, despite being a one-button move, this is considered a special attack. And so just using it will build your gauge. And if it makes contact, it will build gauge further. So you can play around a lot with just kind of spamming it and building that gauge. And once you have that gauge, you can either use the EX version, which will, you know, like create an even tougher zoning approach, which initially looks the same, right? Because it's just a mash version of it. And the other big thing you can do with gauge on this character is this teleport move, which you can either go in front or behind them. Now, of course, this is somewhat easy to see coming. It's more something you do on reaction to them if they try to approach by jumping, right? If they jump towards you, then you want to, like, do that and then get out of the corner. Just kind of like, well, even then, it's kind of, that move is, yeah, you don't think it's very good? I don't know. I've seen people use it to get out of the corner. I'm willing to accept that I'm wrong, but he still has a lot of, you know, being able to use different version of his moves to kind of like move through the air. If the opponent is walking whiffs, well, my idea with it is not to hit the opponent so much as like kind of get out of tricky situations, because once you're cornered, you can't go into your zoning game. On top of that, Susanoo does have a pretty good hitbox on this. It's very unfortunate that this move, for some reason, does not flash counter when the opponent is in the air. You can still combo out of it, but it's a bit of a head scratcher, because it does flash counter on a grounded opponent. I don't really like that kind of stuff personally, where it's a flash counter, but only in certain situations, right? You can special cancel it, yeah. Oh, well, that's the arsenal gauge of Susanoo. If you have this active, you can special cancel one of his sword specials into another. Into the other direction. So if you do the low one, you can do the high one afterwards, and it consumes your arsenal gauge, or vice versa. So you can, you know, tack on some damage. It also allows them to, do this, which normally is a parry, but it just becomes like an EX launch. Still, it's only active for 10 seconds. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird move. I don't really get it. It's not something you use a lot, but that said, I think this character having this really good zoning game, it also has a very unique awakening super, which will cause damage and then throw this really annoying, you know, like deal with it projectile. You can just stand in it and combo off of it. And on top of it, this character gets a pretty good command grab, deals a lot of damage, can special cancel out of it. Yeah, but what goat, I think it's the mix, right? It's a really good zoner that also happens to have this really powerful command grab that does a ton of damage. So a lot of it is burn damage, which they'll be able to heal, but you don't let them. On top of it, and both arsenals can do this, but Susanoo is one of the few characters, and what goat knows, that can go into super from grab, but for some reason, not front grab. But yes, back grab. Why? It's a mystery. But hey, it works. Oh, does it not work anymore? Wait, does it not work anymore? What goat does it not work anymore? Did they change it? Okay, now it works. The world is safe. Yeah, so he can go into that. As you saw, 300 damage from a back grab. Pretty cruel. Crazy corner carry. 236 A plus B into 5 DD. Yeah, if you want to commit the gauge, for sure. And like I said, this is a character that can build gauge pretty decently. Just kind of controlling where his opponent is on the screen. And having the only jump normal in the game that doesn't cost any resource. Not jump normal, jump projectile in the game. Doesn't cost any resource and can do it from any direction. So yeah, I think Susanoo Arsenal 1, pretty decent. Pretty slept on as a zoning heavy character. So either top of B or even bottom of A. Susanoo Arsenal 2. Oh my god. This character got hit with the nerf bat for reasons that are unclear to me. Now, if we were speaking about the previous iteration, I'd put him right here. Unfortunately, I owe it to the Susanoo players. Man, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. I'm gonna put it here just because I still think, as bad as it is above the only character I'm placing in D. Spoilers, there's only one character in D. It's rough. Bottom of C at best. Yeah. Yeah, and that's because it's not because of how good it is so much as how bad the one I'm putting in D is. So, used to be that Susanoo A2 would build gauge just by kind of standing around. Also build gauge with this spin move. Also build gauge by using the same, like two swords charge motion that the other character had. They completely changed it for reasons that are obscure to me, to where it's just an indicator of how much you're charging these two moves. There's no point in charging it halfway. It doesn't do anything. So you just kind of either tap it as light as you can to get it to come out quickly, or you charge it fully. This move used to just cost a charge. Now it has super slow startup. It is still a full screen move that does decent damage and can always lead wrong super and can always lead into awakening super. People are gonna see it come in, and now you have to how do you combo into this? I know you can combo into this, but yeah, it's like really niche as a combo tool. This one used to cost the gauge and shoot 3 tornadoes. Now it's just one small one if uncharged, and one big one with a weird angle if you fully charge it. But when are you gonna get to? It is so slow. Even from a grab, they're minus 42 there. What even is the point? Yeah, I could do this, but that's because then I'm not going into a special like that. And you can't use it from a special at all. It's just kind of a head scratcher. I don't get these changes. This awakening super, very hard to combo into. The changes to the EX moves as well, where they deal this really pathetic damage, 65 for 1 energy, and they no longer have an interesting interaction with your gauge, right? Because they used to charge it. They give it A2 anything in this patch? I don't think so. Yeah, it used to do twice the damage. Wait, did I do more from behind? I did more from behind that from the front. Interesting. It does more damage as a cross-up. What's the tornado for? I'm confused about this decision. I hope they revisit it, because this was really popular as a character in general, especially Evo Japan. A lot of people, Susanoo is the name of a mythical character in Japan mythology, it was really popular. It's their character representation, and it was a lot of fun for people to play. So I talked about it a bit in the previous video, but I hope they listen to the community, because that's the message I want to send. Revisit what this character can do, because it suffered quite a lot in a way that I don't think is very interesting for players. Yeah. That said, there's going to be a character in D. It's not him. Mephisto Arsenal 1. Soul Forge. Mephisto Arsenal 1, I would say, I don't know, people used to do really well with this guy, and then people kind of stopped playing him. I think he's up there, about here, you know, like middle of A. Really, really strong normals on this character, on top of having the Soul Forge. Now, the Soul Forge is weird because initially you think it's a really limited arsenal because it doesn't have much to it. It only has the grounded ball. Mibiador, which is someone I know, used to play him, but he kind of dropped the game. But yeah, Cornflakes is the only one that stick with him. So the thing about Soul Forge is it has 5 different versions. If you charge this, it will cost a different amount. And each version kind of does something different. So of course, the 1 ammo version, I gotta show it. The 1 ammo version is very quick. It's very weak to only 1 hit, very little damage, but it comes out really, really fast. The 2 ammo version, though, a little bit more damage, but more interestingly, it travels full screen, and it is decently fast for that, right? Word about this gauge, too, this arsenal gauge. It refills upon Mephisto hitting with the sword, so if it punches enemies, uses the claw or the kicks, it will not charge it, but any move with the sword will charge it. And it turns out he's got a lot of moves with the sword that do multi-hit, and this spinning move, this Mad Feast, this will cause a full charge. Yeah. What's the song? Mystery song. So yeah, he has a lot of interesting normals. Pretty decent anti-air. A bit limited because it has only 1 non-EX version and only 1 EX version. It is a charge move too, so you can't quite use it on reaction as well, but still decent hitbox on it. I'm bad at the charge timing for this game. I think the Continental Collision, also a pretty decent move. The far one, not really. It's a little bit more limited. The EX one is excellent, both in combos and just in general usage. I think it might be plus as well. Yeah, +3. So making all of your grounded moves, except this does not have a special cancel, but making all of your grounded moves plus, really good. This is also one of the few moves in the game that's 4 frames startup instead of 5. It doesn't have much range, and it is not a low, but it's still a pretty fast jab. And this move is kind of crazy. This low, which causes a flash counter. This move, really good. Can do a lot with it. This character also has pretty high damage potential off flash counter starters. You do need to know how to use the different Soul Forge orbs. But yeah, this is a character with a lot of versatility because you make almost everything safe by using the different level orbs. I think it's the level 3 orb you want to be using, +4 here, right? So of course they can try to contest it, but you could release it a bit earlier, right? Just be like, nope, actually it was level 2, it was level 1. And you can see at a certain range, you're plus on level 2. So, yeah, you can do a lot of funny stuff with it, or if you're sure they're going to block, then fine, launch the big orb, right? Like, really play around with that, but generally the safe one is this. And then it charges even if they're blocking, if I'm not wrong, with the sword, right? So you can use these different moves and just charge it back and then go back into fun stuff. He also gets this weird command. This is an overhead. It's predictable, but it's used quite a bit. Big approach tool at a distance, not 2 minus, -4 here, -1, yeah. A bit of a tough distance to learn, though. But still, overall, a character that gets a lot. The Awakening Super, you know, it is a charge motion, but it will cross a lot of distance, go through projectiles, so punish someone who's mashing zoning options a little bit. It does also have this weird air move that both costs 1 energy and the full amount of gauge. It will spam projectiles. Overall, I don't think this move is as good. First, because you lose both an energy and your entire gauge. But also, it's just 4/6/4/6 now? No, it's a charge move to my memory. Let me check. Yeah, see the first arrow is darkened. That means it's a charge. See if I'm doing 4/6/4/6. Yeah, you need to charge it for a little bit. See, 33, not enough. Yeah, 45. Alright. But yeah, because of the versatility of the grounded Soul Forge, this is why I think this arsenal can do so much. The air one I don't think does much, but it's there. You know, I guess you can threaten someone who's low health and just go in and do a better mix-up than whatever I could do. Now let's talk about Fafnir Claw, Fafnir Talon, whatever you want to call it. Used to be Fafnir Claw, got changed to Fafnir Talon for strange reasons. Partially my fault. Oops. Get out of there, boss. What you doing? My mouse is slipping. Yeah, this is the one. This is the character I think is by far the worst in the game. Worse than what they did with Susano Arsenal 2. Worse than what anything people can say about Boss Borat. Worse than Great Mazinger Arsenal 2, which I think is starting to get there too. First of all, this character, upon starting, does not have any resources, right? And when he has no resources, he can't do anything. His arsenal moves are terrible. He's got this jump, like very predictable jump move on the ground. This move is not an overhead despite jumping, right? You can block it low. It is -1, a little less worse than I remember. He's got a jump version of it, but look at it's not a very fast move. You might as well just use jump C, right, for your jump in. There's no reason to go into this when you could be using this instead. And you have this weird swipe version. This is useless. Of course, this is a move where you're supposed to... this is an arsenal where you're supposed to build it up, and you can use this flame to build it up after using certain moves, but it's not all of them, and it's a bit tricky because he used to be able to do it from stomp, and he can't anymore. And I think that would have helped him a little bit. Still, it's hard. At least it's something you can do off this move, which is not special cancelable. But yeah, it will add a fire effect. First of all, it will launch a projectile, but it's not a particularly good projectile. It's slow. It does have a little extra hitbox. Does it? And also, look at the damage. So, the damage on this is almost... Okay, they buffed it a bit. It used to be almost entirely fire damage. Well, as you can see, it is. So all the damage it deals is recoverable, right? All of it is gray health. They did buff the initial hit. It used to do pathetic damage. It's still relatively bad. But all of it is recoverable, right? Normally a hit, look at that. And some fire moves will do half and half. But these fire moves, all of it is recoverable damage. And they cost a resource. And even with the resource, right? This move, still -1. What's going on? Does it have any advantage up close? -2. Yeah, it's not... It's decent at least because you can use it to... It's probably the only... Wait. You can't use it off that move. Right. You can only use the charge. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a slow projectile. The jump version, not really... Again, not really an advantage from using it there after the jump. See, like... Why does this cost a resource? 63 damage, which is all recoverable, or 96. You know, even without counter, because we get a little bit of a damage bonus here. Look at that, 80 damage, or 53. Which one will it be? Slow projectiles can be better than fast ones sometimes. Yeah, but you only have this one, whereas Soulforge has all 5. You know, it has a choice. This one does not. It costs a resource that's harder to build than Soulforge's, and it starts with 0. Soulforge starts at 5. And from afar, people can just break boost this, because it's not like it's super quick either, right? Like, it's not instant startup, and it's not instant recovery either. It's not bad recovery, but it's just... It's an extremely mid projectile, 2 really bad normals, you know, this and the jump one, and that's it. That's what this gives you. If you manage to charge 4 of them, you do get this quote-unquote secret super. Wait, it doesn't even pick up off grounded. Oh my god. Alright, so you need to build it 4 times and then go into it. And it will do a ton of damage, which you can follow up. Let's see here. Alright, because I can't do it off stomp. Can you do it off this move? I didn't show this special off. Okay. Yeah, he's got this weird air special. So you could do something funny like this. Oops. Well, whatever. The point is, you can pick up afterwards. The damage ceiling for Mephisto Arsenal 2 is really high if you manage to do this into either super. Both Mephistos have the same super. I didn't show it earlier. It's a super that does a lot of damage. Part of it is fire damage is why, right? It does 300 and then a little more that is fire damage. But the Awakening Super is this really awkward, it's a really awkward orb. Now you can do it off like, you know, some of your moves that go in the air like this, and the damage is fine, but it's just compared to the other one that would cross full screen, and it's just like, haha, I am an orb. Alright, cool. But the damage is good if you have all resources on a hard-to-build resource that doesn't do much else. Now, you're still Mephisto, but it feels like you're Mephisto without an arsenal, whereas the other arsenal is really, really good. And that's why I'm placing it so low, because even the nerfed Susano Arsenal 2 does something. It's not a very good something, but man, it's more than this. You know, it's more than this. And that's why I'm placing it solo. Alright, Wushuang Arsenal 2. Arsenal 1. I know numbers. Arsenal 1, Autocracy of Gunfire. I think this one is half slept on. I would place it probably mid-bottom of B. Finally, my first main. Yeah. Yeah. I think ever since it got the changes, it's very good at like easily tacking on damage. It is very gauge intensive, and it's not particularly interesting. You're basically fishing for this move, right? Because this move just does 1,000,000 damage if you have gauge, and if you don't, it leads into stuff relatively easy. And you can use that even after this move. So it's pretty easy to go into the spinning halberd, into this, and then whatever you want. And from the stomp, you can either like reload one for kind of bad advantage, unfortunately. You could place it somewhere else. I forgot. But and the grenades can be used also as a decent zoning tool. They're not amazing. They're not amazing projectiles. They did change how this works, though, recently. I think this is a low now, 2D. Yeah. So that's a bit of an improvement to his neutral game. He doesn't have much in the way of overhead, though. So it's like, yeah. There's not much to... Oh, it's just this, right? Am I wrong? Is there another overhead? And this is really slow and doesn't lead into anything unless you limit break or super. That said, it has a... Wait, you can't even super out of it, huh? Yeah, you can. Okay. That said, I do think the Awakening Super is decent. It's not amazing because it is not invulnerable. So it's more of a like, hey, stop pressing a button than anything you'd use to defend yourself. So defensively, this character suffers a bit. But offensively, I think he's quite fine. You can do some funny stuff with this, right? With the grenade. Just using it in the air in general. While it does have a cost, you can also use the faster reload to reload all of them, but it does cost a gauge. You can use it off sweep now, which is pretty good upgrade, both versions of the reload. It's a pretty fine robot. I wouldn't say it's amazing. You won't really see this command grab because it uses all your ammo, and like I said earlier, you kind of want to be using the ammo for this instead because of the crazy damage it does. Now, I know people have been like also learning to space it. Yeah, that's what you do, right? You space it to hit 2C. So, you know, there's all sorts of advanced stuff you can do with this character. But he's still rather straightforward and suffers defensively. But his offense is pretty interesting. He's got a variety of stuff. Really big normals, too. He's, I think he's still the largest character, or equal with Shin Getter. Might lose that with Mazen Kaiser. But he's a large guy with large normals. Got a bit of tricky stuff with the halberd. Bit of weird moves. Decent anti-airs. Not the best in the game, but, you know, he can get there. Tricky stuff. This stomp is also worth it to make a lot of stuff safe. +3, you know, that's pretty decent, and you can go into some bomb stuff. This is unfortunately a little too risky. Really good in combos, this move, but most people are going to see it coming. You can't do much offensively out of it. Still, pretty decent arsenal, like I said. Either bottom of B is where I see it. It's definitely a little bit above some of these other characters. So, pretty decently slept on, in my opinion. Whereas Arsenal 2... yeah, it fell behind. It doesn't have quite as much as the advantages as 1 does. Still probably a little better than the other C-tier characters. But, yeah, the arsenal is free. There's no resource to manage. But it's very easy to see coming, this lightning bolt. And not only is there a bit of a guessing game, but it's a projectile, so you can break boost through it if you understand the timing. The halberd throw, not much to say about it. It's fine. The damage potential is pretty decent because what can you do? I think stomp into, what was it? People have been doing, yeah, I think it's this move into stomp. Yeah, but it's expensive for it. The one really cool thing about it is, like, you can go into the Awakening Super from pretty much everything. It will hit full screen, but it's not a reversal because it needs to start off of this. The options he gets off the kick are weaker, right? Because it's only this halberd throw, and you can't do anything afterwards. Can you even hit? Yeah, I don't think you can hit Awakening unless you limit break. You can limit break off of this, but compared to the grenade, it's a little weaker unless you're willing to commit, right? I think the command grab is vaguely more useful on this one. It is the only move in the entire game, not only to heal your own character, right? You can see it gives me a little bit of extra health, but it also drains the opponent energy gauge. Now, it does cost 1, and the damage is pretty weak. The advantage is fine. It does put you pretty far from them. And as you can see with a dash afterwards, only +5. You can use it after a move, of course, but the damage will be not great. You get good Oki after 6C. Yeah, but when are you just gonna be doing it, you know? And wouldn't you rather go into something afterwards? I don't know. It's because the grenade gives you options and Oki. I guess, yeah, I guess you could do this, huh? Like, wait. Oh, it depends on the wake-up option. Okay, I see. Yeah, delayed wake-up gets OTG'd. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, which is why it's at the top of C. Right. Which, all these characters, they're usable. They're just, they have a little bit of the struggle. Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah. At least it has high HP, which Mephisto does not. That's the thing too, right? Mephisto is tied for lowest HP, and the other characters are worth it, right? Qinglong, both arsenals, Soulforge, but having the lowest HP among with the worst arsenal in the game is just, it's sad. It's rough. All right, Narrow Arsenal 1. Narrow Arsenal 1, probably at the top of A, right above Dankuga. Really, really versatile character. In general, just Narrow can do a lot. It's a character that can do all sorts of stuff. Let's go into Narrow here. So Narrow, the big thing with her, I think, is just the general existence of this move is a huge one. A moving kick that is, you know, like, not too minus at certain ranges. You can go into air specials, including this pretty good EX wheel that makes it plus. You can also go into this funny ballerina move to do all sorts of funny thing. That's not the best part of it, but it's interesting that it exists, right? It's an extra option. On top of that, you get this shell, which will build your arsenal gauge. You can hold it a little bit. It will parry certain moves. So it's more about, like, a versatility of option, including the X1, which is really good. Now, it also has an air version of this move. In the air version is an overhead, so it is a bit tough to get the right height, but it's one of the best mix-up moves in the game, because you could, like, you know, just kind of make them suffer for it. The grounded version is not, but the air version being one and looking exactly the same, it's kind of cruel. It also has some decent jump-ins, not amazing. But yeah, this EX wheel, really good. And this is all normal stuff the character does. Now this projectile, not the best part of it, and these wheel kicks are fine, they're not amazing. Only okay anti-air. I do like that she has a lot of lows though, very fast. Decent range on it too, +2 has a lot. But on top of that, you get that, which goes into another low, or the flip kick, you know, like you can do into a lot of stuff. You can go into a lot of stuff. Not a lot from this one, though. This one's a bit more committal. But now, what you use the gauge for, first of all, you have this funny little guy. Very good at controlling space. Not completely amazing, because people can just hit it. Oh, I didn't want to show this one yet. But yeah, now that this shell fully charges it, and also the anti-air grab also charges it, you can, you know, use this drone a lot. You're supposed to kind of attack with it to, you know, protect him from opponents' attacks. But he makes your ground game really strong, and if you hit people with it, you can follow up, which I definitely know how to do. So, you know, wait, the stomp doesn't work. Let's see here. Follow up. Yeah, with OTG drills and stuff like that. And of course, the real fancy stuff about this arsenal, you can... Oh, wrong button. You can summon a clone of your opponent and use almost any of their moves as long as it doesn't cost a special arsenal resource or as a super. You can even use EX moves, so you can use this Vasago's reversal. Of course, it is a little bit delayed, so you can't use it as a true reversal, but you can even make them use their normal or command grabs. So you can do some pretty funky stuff with it. It will also take a hit for you, so it's very strong and oaky, you know, when the opponent is waking up. And they just get a face full of themselves. As you saw also, the creation hits. Yeah, so... Yeah, breaking super cinematics as well, because they'll just absorb the hit. It's a really, really strong, versatile arsenal. A lot of stuff on it. As I also mentioned, it has an anti-air command grab. Now, a thing I might not have mentioned, moves that don't juggle, you know, like when the opponent is in air recovery, you can still hit with an anti-air command grab. So you got a little bit of leeway there. And, yeah, this will also rebuild your gauge, so it's a really good option there. And then you start with either a clone of them or that little drone. The Awakening Super is kind of a generic big area around you. It's fine. And the level 3, it's okay too. You have to do it from the air. It's this giant beam of fire. The damage is not amazing. It's good. Let's see from up close. Yeah, okay, never mind. That damage is pretty good if you get in all the hits. But yeah, I think this character's EXs are good to a point where I don't know if you'd see it that often. Still, overall, very amazing arsenal. Well deserving of its place at the top of A tier. Arsenal 2. Arsenal 2. Arsenal 2, I would say just a little below. It's still extremely good, but yeah, it did win the latest TNS. And again, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the entire point of tier lists. But my view of it, this is the zoom in on me, I want the game. My reasoning behind it. Now, it does have extremely good actions with the 2 assists with the GTW fighters, right? But it is on a long cooldown, and they made it longer. You have to use both of them. And then look at this. Look at this recharge. Even if you crouch, at least that is a lot faster. Okay, the crouch version is not that bad. But if you don't have the liberty to crouch, then as you can see, it'll be very, very slow. You have to find that moment. The actions are very good. Each of them have 3. So the red one, the red one is Chicano. So Chicano and the blue one is Ori Green. Both of them have a laser. The lasers are extremely good. They have a lot of these like moves that will gain advantage. To my memory, the tackle is a low, yeah, so that's pretty interesting too. And the uppercut is pretty quick. They will tank a hit, so they're extremely strong in Oki. And in general, their damage is very high because of those beams lead into a lot, right? I don't know how to do it correctly, but let me tell you, the beams do a lot of damage, especially the red one, because it does a fire effect. So that's additional healable, but powerful damage. Yeah, the crouch recharge does seem pretty good, but you do need to use both of them. It's not a very hefty requirement. The thing is, you don't get anything besides that and the Spirit Land, this time stop. Now, the time stop does do a little bit of damage on its own and leads into combos. It's very prorated, though, as you can see. You can use it as a defensive move, but it's armored. I think they can grab it. Did I put him on no block? Okay, let's put him on grab. Why is the grab in Chinese? Oh, it's guard. Sorry about that. Let's put him on block. Well, I'm too far away. Well, I'm pretty sure it can be grabbed, right? I wish I had a better character to test it. I guess I could. Well, maybe on wake up. Yeah, let's put him wake up grab. Yeah. So he grabbed me right there. So yeah, it's okay defensively. Does lead into a decent combo. All right. Well, you know. That's that. Sorry about that. I was pretty sure I went through a lot of the localization, but yeah. Still, not having the anti-air grab, the air shell, having a resource that's a bit more dependent on, you know, like doing this crouch stuff. As you can see, it's not active when you do a crouching move. It has to be neutral crouch. Whereas the other one now has two ways to fully charge it, and in theory, is even more versatile, right? Because you can use your entire opponent's moveset minus a few things. It is a bigger knowledge, you know, like you need to learn everything that your opponent can do, but there's a few ways to play with it. You get, you know, not only do you get an extra EN attack with the anti-air grab, on top of that, you get all of your opponent's EN attacks unless they cost an arsenal resource. I don't know. You can do so much stuff with the other one that this one can't. This doesn't make this one bad, of course. Again, look at this. This is like, you know, middle A. It's just a little behind because you still have all of the big advantages Nero has. Even putting it, you know, a little above Mazinger ZA2, maybe interchangeable. I don't know. Still an incredible arsenal. It's just the other one wins in versatility, being able to do more stuff with the resource, an easier to build resource, and even has some stuff it can do without. So, yeah, overall I think Simulacrum wins out over GTW fighters, but only a little bit. Both of them very potent. You know, they're in A tier. I think you're very safe in a tournament in A tier. B tier is like, you gotta work for it, but it's doable. And then C tier is like, believe, but do it. And D tier is just like, don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, now I haven't gotten to see a lot of Shin Getter Robo footage. But from what people are telling me, from the little I've seen, from my understanding of it, Arsenal 1 Shin Getter is a beast. The charged attacks of the the Tomahawk, the Getter Tomahawk, are kind of going hard. Look at this guy. He's huge, and his weapon is even larger. You can do a charge and uncharged version. You also have this funny little scythe hop that will pull your opponents toward you, though you can't do much from it unless you limit break, of course. But it also has this pretty interesting command normal that goes really far, and is quite plus there. You can combo off a link from it, or go into a special move. Getter Beam, which is common to both arsenals as well. Just really, really good. Let's see here. Really, really good from pretty much anything. I gotta remove the wake up. Yeah. What is it? -9. Yeah, from afar you're probably safe. And what is it? I think you can, you can go into Axe from it, which makes Arsenal 1 even better. Yeah. Really weird stuff you can do from there. You can 623A after 40 if properly spaced. Oh, interesting. Jump the arc knockdown. Oh, yeah, so you would do... Okay, I see. So you do this into this. Yeah, and if they block it, their guard broken. And you're how much? 3. Yeah. With a good chunk of recoverable damage, but it's what, 70 chip damage. Yeah, it's just a character that can do a lot with those. Does not get any extra EX moves from the arsenal, but it doesn't need it. Oh, wait, no, it does get Tomahawk Boomerang. I'm a fool, and it's actually a really good one, too. What am I talking about? So, yeah, having Getter Beam, too, this EX Getter Beam, and an EX reversal like that. It's just a character that can do quite a lot. Very big normals. I think this might also be an overhead. No, the stomp is not. Has a dive kick. Bit of a slow dive kick, but it is an overhead. So, you know, that's nice. Some pretty large jump normals. And, of course, the jump Tomahawk, which you can use from multiple angles. It does also have a forward air dash. Now, it doesn't have the backward one like Getter Robo, but Shin Getter is one of the only 2 characters with an air dash in the game. And unlike Getter Robo, it can break boost. So you break boost, break jump into air dash. What a forward momentum with these giant hitbox. Pretty good cross-up move here with the jump B. So yeah, backwards dive kick too. Yeah, that's also an interesting one, which you can do after, can you not do it after? Oh, you can't. Oh, it's because I'm not pressing it right. Yeah, after the command, the dash, the air dash. Yeah, so just a very, very versatile character. Giant hitboxes, big damage. You can also backdash cancel. Oh, that's true. That's also another big one where you just kind of fake them out, which, yeah, pretty interesting that he gets to do that. Just kind of fake out people and then you beam them. The super, while it is... Wait, is this not the super input? Yeah. While it is very slow, you know, the animation is cool. Damage is great. In the Awakening Super... Wait, which one's the Awakening Super on this one? Oh, yeah. He gets a bunch of Awakening Supers, too, including the Gigantic Beam, which will OTG after almost anything. Wait, can you not use it after the Tomahawk? You have to be in the air? Anyway, yeah, this will OTG. And I think one of the other ones you can... You can combo after this? Or is it the other one? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, I might be crazy. Still, damage is really good. You get a variety of them. You can super after 623X. Yeah, I know about that. But yeah, also it's one of the few characters. I didn't mention all of them. Wait. He might have more. Some characters have 3 flash counters. I think he has 4, right? Yeah, you can do it off the charged tomahawk. 5. Got 5 flash counter. What's he doing? What's going on with that? 5 flash counter. What a guy. So yeah. Pretty impressive. Shin Getter, Arsenal 1. Really, really powerful. Doing really well. Probably a contender for S tier. We'll have to see it more, but comfortably at the top of A. No problem. Getter, Shin Getter, Arsenal 2, though. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Man, it's rough. Yeah. Quite the fall. Bottom of B seems reasonable. It still has a lot of the advantages. You know, maybe somewhere like this. It still has a lot of the advantages. Wait, it loses access to the Arsenal moves in Overload? Man, report that. I'll put it in my final report too. So the problem with that is their older version of this Arsenal used to like interact with the overheat mechanic, and they kind of removed it and instead put this random thing. First of all, even the fact that it has a cooldown at all is a bit rough. But on top of it, it's random which one you get. Low A or top B, he's still got Shin Getter normals. Yeah, but you lose the Tomahawk, and what do you get instead? You know, like, this is rough. If you get a Shin Getter 1, you almost can't do anything with it. It's like a funny little escape. And I thought initially the goal was for it to be like, you go into this, into Stoner Sunshine, right? Into the super. But the timing is rough. At least he gets that cool animation. Okay, so it does work, but it depends. Getter 3 is the one you want to see. He gets that really long, low move. He also gets that little tackle. And the funny version of Shin Gravity Press. Not as good, but as you can see, the damage is huge. And whether you do a move first or not, oh my god, I can't get Getter 3. You can also go into the missiles. The missiles are great. They do a ton of damage up close, lead into combo. Of course, they will prorate a lot because it's a dozen projectiles. But they're pretty alright, you know. Getter 2, we can't see the screen. Hey, sorry about that again. Getter, so I'll do it again. Getter 3, we got this long range low. It is getting pretty late here. My apologies. But yeah, I was showing off how this Getter 1, it's really rough. Unless you do like this. And you got the cool cut in at least. What a guy, Ryoma. You know, but it's... Why would you not just do DP instead? Is kind of the question that you end up asking. Or even one of these beams, right? Wait, he can't do... Okay, he can, yeah. So, whenever you get Getter 1, and again, this is RNG, right? Whenever you get Getter 1, it feels like a dud. Getter 2 is fine, but it's not quite the blazing speed you'd expect from Shin Getter 2. A little better in the air, but you have to be pretty high. Yeah, that one's fine. It also has that that funny escape. I don't think it's very useful. The EX move is it's whatever. I've seen people end up using the Awakening super quite a bit, though. Both of them have one. I inputted the wrong thing. But Getter 1 doesn't. Which also feels pretty bad. Oh yeah, I have to hit him in the air. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, he does have a really cool animation for the grab. Multiple Shin Getter visions in a chain. Oh, that's interesting. I'd love to see a bit more about that. I keep inputting the wrong thing. It's weird inputs too. You're not used to it being like that. But at least Daisetsuzano Oshi does a lot of damage. Yeah. Shin Getter 2 Awakening is the only hard knockdown. Yeah, losing the Tomahawk, it just feels like it has too many disadvantages. And you'd think a mechanic that's tied to RNG would have a potential really high reward, either if you get lucky or if you get, you know, like the right thing for the right situation. But it's just not the experience. That said, as you didn't mention, it has a lot of the advantages of Shin Getter, and yeah, it's still fine, but I don't know. As you can see, I couldn't place it higher than low B, but it's not C. There's units in C. There's quite a few of them, and I don't think they're unusable. I think they're struggling, right? But they're not unusable. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Makoto. 5D, 4D, BC, 6D, AC. But why would you do 6D into AC, though? Into the Awakening. Anyway. With that, I have gone through every character I can currently play. I unfortunately do not have an advanced version of Mazen Kaiser. But I will hazard a guess from what we've seen, the boss, so it's supposed to be a balanced version, right? That's the entire point of it. And the thing I did want to say, my personal message about Mazen Kaiser, personally, I didn't want it to be an arsenal. I wanted it to be its own character. I wanted it even to have its own 2 arsenals. I tried to work for it, but unfortunately, the resources were not there. It was a complicated situation. I pushed for it. I believed in Kaiser, but this is as good as we could get. That said, I did make the arrangements for it to be tournament playable, so initially it was only going to be a boss. So yeah, that's one of my little accomplishments working here, is to at least be able to get y'all a playable Mazen Kaiser. Given what we've seen of it, it's hard to imagine it'll be any lower than a something. I don't know if it will keep the automatically rising energy gauge. So a lot of its specials are energy moves. It's a character that's really energy hungry. It has the missiles, but the way it works last time I saw, which there may be changes, I'm curious to see what they did with it, but the last time I saw, the missiles were limited. You didn't build them back up. You only had 5 for the match. Still, it has the weird, you know, like, defensive backdash. The backdashes in this game are not very good. They are counter hit state. They don't have much in the ways of invulnerability. Are you allowed to let us know if he has voice lines? I mean, I guess what you saw in the trailer is what we're getting. There were no additional Koji Kabuto voice lines recorded for Kaiser. That's also something I pushed back against, but yeah, you know, it was, yeah. I wish I could have brought more, and I think the team mostly feels that way too, but it's really the resources that were available. It's kind of a this or nothing situation, right? And hopefully they get to rework it in the future, because I'd really love to see it being its own separate character with unique arsenals. Still, in the version we got, it's got that very unique break boost, which is not cancelable, but will hit the opponent. It's got that weird defensive backdash with the teleport effect, which is a bit weird for Mazen Kaiser, but sure, why not? The Turbo Smasher punches, a lot of its normals knock down in a way that juggles. It had very high combo potential, at least the boss version, which I was able to play in older versions that they let me have. Now, again, some of it might change, but from what I saw, it seemed to be around that. The final Mazen Kaiser Blade is the Awakening Super, actually, and it had 2 level 3 supers uniquely. One of them is Fire Blaster, so the giant fire beam, it shoots across the screen to beat out other projectile moves. And the other one is Kaiser Tornado, which is a command grab, a dashing command grab, a bit similar to Great Mazinger Arsenal 2. Great Typhoon, which I didn't get to talk about it much. Unfortunately, it's not a very good Awakening Super right now either. It's kind of a predictable command grab. So yeah, Mazen Kaiser, probably high A around Shin Getter, you know. And very far away prediction, Zeroimer. Absolute top unit. That's my prediction for it. See, the reason Zeroimer isn't at all is that people at the company really like it. You know, a lot of people who like Mecha, they think it's a cool unit. When they know it's in, they're a little bit curious about it. But, yeah. Oh, I should have put Black Getter on this. That's my bad. I should have put... I'll add it to the tier list for people to play around with it. My prediction for Black Getter, I'm going to use, you know, Shin Getter 2. Why does Shin Getter 2 have a portrait? A mystery. Shin Getter 2, you're going to be the stand-in for Black Getter. I'm going to predict it to be a little above, you know, kind of this, in this area, a little better than Getter Robo. But Zeroimer, yeah, Zeroimer is there because people, including some of the bosses, they really like Zeroimer. They loved how it played in the Super Robot Wars games. They got really excited about the concept of it. Absolute unit. This is a robot that has multiple beam weaponry. Meph A2. Cornflakes, you're the resident Mephisto player. Look at where I placed A1. It's pretty high up in the A tier. As you can see, A tier pretty big. More very viable characters than not. S tier 3. I think it does correspond to what a lot of people have been saying. Black Getter gets Shin Getter 6A. Yeah, maybe there's going to be some of that Getter Razor play. I think you got to see in one of our trailers, it will have the little guns. I don't know if it's just for the Super, though. I have no idea how it plays. But I'm looking forward to it, what they do with it. It will share some of the normals with Getter 1, hence why it's an Arsenal, but other stuff will be different. But yeah, Zero-Rhymer, people at the company love it, so I think they're gonna make it powerful. Yeah, Makoto, that is one good point. It will have break boost. It probably won't have as much as an advantage for limit break, though. You know how Getter, Robo, its big thing, and maybe what will help it rise the tiers, is that it has the lowest penalty, the lowest cooldown time for limit break. So one can hope that people will believe in Getter more than I do. Again, tier lists, they exist for discussion. They exist, especially for me who's not competing, they exist for people to, contradict them. So yeah, remember this Shin Getter is just, Shin Getter 2, just a prediction for, yeah. For Black Getter, a little stand-in. I'll see if I have a little portrait of it. So I did have the one for Zero-Rhymer and the materials they gave me. And of course Kaiser, who's right around the corner. So I hope everyone is hyped up for Maz and Kaiser, for the future content of this game. As I said, the roguelike approach to the strategy story mode. Looking forward to that too. I think it's a really, really good idea. Console release, a little far away on the horizon, but it's there. They are working on it. I've seen the discussions. I think it's also a really good idea. For everything that I've been told, crossplay is supposed to be supported, and it seems very possible since the online works through Game Duchy's server, right? We don't use Steam's directly. And as I said, there is possibility for a Season 2, hence why I decided to close with also the discussion on the future DLC at all. So yeah, if anyone has any questions before I close this out, this has been going on almost 3 hours now, so yeah, if anyone wants to ask anything about the game, I'd be happy to answer whatever I can now. Of course, again, I can't guarantee any future DLC, anything like that. That's outside of my, even if I knew, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Who does the General main? Alright, so for those who don't know, the General is the producer of this game. He's kind of the lead dev. He's in charge of a lot of the coding and a lot of the game's balance. So he's responsible for a lot of what you see, not everything. He's not the only designer on the team. There's still some people like Boer and Wara who work really hard on a lot of the characters. General, I don't know who he actually plays, if he even plays this game competitively. My assumption would be Great Mazinger Arsenal 1 or Mephisto Arsenal 1. Because he did tell me he's a Guile player in Street Fighter games, so he loves charge commands, that kind of character. You can definitely see he also has an affinity for, like, cool guy, serious, almost edgy but not quite, badass older man, you know, kind of character, over the more cutesy or main character, heroic type guys. So yeah, I don't have confirmation of this, but my assumption is Great Mazinger or Mephisto. Great Mazinger is also, I think before Shin Getter Robo happened, he was the only character who had 3 animated cut-ins for Super, so both his level 3 supers, as pretty much every level 3, so Thunder Break and Breast Burn, but he also has a cut-in for the Great Booster, the Arsenal 1 Awakening Super. So, you know, there's been a few hints that pointed me towards thinking maybe the General's a Great Mazinger guy, but it's an assumption, and as you can see from this tier list, if it's indeed his favorite character, he's been good at holding back and making him completely broken. That said, that is my opinion, and some people have been talking about Great Mazinger being a lot higher, so if I'm wrong and they're right, and Great Mazinger is really strong, then maybe his bias is showing even more. Because Great Mazinger does have quite a few charge commands. OG Cornflakes asks, will other base roster characters get cut-ins, or does your pilot have to be attractive? I was under the impression that the intention was to gauge both player base and new purchases' reaction to seeing the Kaguya cut-ins, as well as the popular Ryoma Stoner Sunshine cut-in. I think some of it is also used in the mobile game. So there's definitely a possibility for more to transfer. So basically, make it known that you like the existing cut-ins and you want more, and that will probably push it in a good direction. Personally, I thought if they were gonna do one, they should do more. That's kind of always the impression I got. But we'll see when it gets. Mortis, I skipped your message, but I think you were just saying along with yeah, I skipped a few messages. Hang on. Spicy Crab, all I want to say is thank you for your hard work. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure working with the community, taking care of all this stuff. Mortis says, this was great. As someone who's just casually playing a couple units, got a lot of insight of what every mech does. Mortis, I encourage you to see, you know, watch the previous TNS on their channel, Tampa Never Sleeps. Watch the Evo Japan video on our channel. Watch the Combo Breaker video on the, I think it's on Yipes, IFC Yipes channel. And watch MSV, the Mexico RAN tournament that has been pretty regular. Because there's some really good players out there who will really show off good stuff. Watch also in our live stream section, Tiendi versus Diaphone. Diaphone was a really strong player. He's a pro player. He did get a bit rusty with the character, but his fundamentals are, you know, extremely solid. And you will see a lot of the match is in Tiendi's favor. You'll get a really good insight on some of the stuff that goes on. Fernanda PS2 asks, what Iron Saga waifu do you think should be added to the avatars? I don't know a lot of the ones that aren't included. I remember looking over them and having an opinion. To answer your question properly, I'll probably message the Discord about it a bit later, because I remember having an opinion on this and I completely forgot. Me personally, after working with the amazing cosplayer, you know, Yoko and Tokyo. So Yoko was the cosplayer who did Arina from the other game of Game Duchy, Resonance Solstice. And Tokyo was the Oboro cosplayer. First of all, Oboro and Slowkai should get an avatar. I think that one would be a really good improvement. Since they're playable characters, they are waifus, as we call them. They're beautiful women characters. It would be pretty cool to have at least the other Iron Saga originals. I don't know if they'd need an extra deal to have the guest character pilots in, but I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, after working with Yoko, who was, and both of them were really good, but Yoko was amazing work for a professional cosplayer. Incredible energy, really represented that character. Arina well, and guess what? She's already in, so I think we already got the best waifu there. I have a small bias because I saw the real character IRL, but yeah, I think that's the good waifu avatar for online. So Cornflakes, I responded. The Sonic fan, are they looking at fixing features in the training mode, and are we going to get an OST select? I've been pushing the OST select for quite a while. I've been also a bit perplexed about the situation as to why we don't have songs from Iron Saga Mobile. I believe the audio engineer also was favorable to music select, so it's just it's just up to programming, modifying the UI, adding that in, which is a little bit of work. You need an extra interface. Where do you place it? There's some thoughts to it. I do think it would help a lot. It definitely helps make the game feel a little more modern to have this this background music select when you're doing. I'll do the full camera now. When you're doing something. Yeah, these are my assistants. We got Mazinger Z and Getter 3, and they're on top of the box for Asura. I don't have a lot of robot figures that I have set up. I wanted to put this Gunbuster as well, but I couldn't find all of its parts. It's missing the chest plate. I don't know where the arms, because I have the crossed arms as well, and it has a stand where it's supposed to do the Super Inazuma kick. Gunbuster is in the mobile version, so I thought it was fairly appropriate, but unfortunately I wasn't able to set it up properly. But yeah, they're assisting me in this stream. We also have a little, by Art of Will, our partner, we got a little Gurren Lagann print over there displayed. Good old Gurren Lagann. But that's a permanent fixture in my room, in my office room. Yeah, and then fixing features in the training mode. There's definitely a few that I've mentioned to them. I think that one should also be somewhat accessible. I say, stay on them on that, right? Frequent feedback will help a lot. It's definitely worth it. But I think the OST select would be a really good one too. Mephisto never getting one, I understand, for the cut-in. It would be cool. Oscar is kind of like this, full of it guy. He's a character that would be fun to show off more of the pilot side of it too. What character do you main from Rising Shogun? Despite me not having a figure of it, and that's because it used to be really hard to obtain, and now all the ones that exist are really expensive. I considered getting one during my trip to Japan, but I decided to put it off maybe next year. They are making a new figure of him as well. My main is basically the very reason why I worked for them at all, because I approached them to initially just run tournaments as a fan before they asked me to work with them. But my guy is Dan Kuga, more specifically Arsenal 1, the Dan Kugan. With the Dan Kuga here, and then Danku Kogaken. This is my guy. This is always been a big fan of this robot. So seeing both Harigoro and Mecha Fan truly do it justice in the big tournaments, it was quite amazing. I appreciate everything you've done for us. I'm happy to have done it, man. I think I've mentioned it in one of my texts. But initially, Black Getter was not going to be a free update. I wanted it to be its own character select, even if it was just going to be a single arsenal, because my mental, my justification was that at least I can say we have one more character, right? Because the game launched with 12 characters, 25 arsenals, so 2 arsenal each except Getter Robo, which had 3. And initially they wanted Black Getter to be a Shin Getter arsenal. And I was like, well, if we make one DLC and have 3 arsenals, and what happens for the future ones? Do we make one DLC more expensive? Or are you committed to making 3 arsenals for every character? Which, no, they were not, right? Like, that's a lot of work, understandably so. And so, initially I said, well, just make it a free update, make it another guy, right? And they told me, no, it's different, we can't, it's too close to another character. And that was kind of the compromise. Getter 1, while it has 3 arsenals, they're all colored green like an Arsenal 1, and they all have the same moveset, it just changes which one you start with. So Black Getter becomes the real Arsenal 2. It made sense in a way where I could accept it, right? So I felt comfortable with that compromise. Mazen Kaiser is a bit of a different story. Like I said, I really wanted it to be more, but even trying to work with the development tools a little bit, first of all, they're in Chinese. My Chinese is non-existent. And also the dev tools that I had access to was able to modify some of the stuff, but not the animations proper. So I couldn't have made any new animations. It was just very limiting, and the team didn't have the time, the resources. So yeah, they decided there were other priorities, which, yeah, but they didn't intend to make it balanced and playable initially. And I pushed for that, and they understood it, because I said, we're a fighting game that's working to be competitive. I feel like any art that we make, any asset for a major character like that, we should also commit it to be competitive, right? And I think that resonated with members of the team quite a bit, and they were like, you know what, yeah, let's do it. Even if it's in a simplified version, let's make Mazen Kaiser happen. And, well, it's better to have him than not have him. That's the conclusion here. What else we got? Gunbuster my go. Will Slowkai and the other dev you mentioned in the other stream be our new go-to developer contacts going forward? Yeah, Slowkai will be your number 1. Slowkai will be pretty much filling my shoes. Now understand, Slowkai's time is spread thin between this and also doing the same kind of job for mobile. And Elaine is doing this for Resonance, among other tasks at the job, because Elaine is also now the only Japanese speaker. So Elaine will be in charge of communicating with not only the Japanese, community, but also our guest character, the license holders, right? And on top of working a lot on Resonance. So, of course, you'll see some participation from Elaine, but please don't go, at or message. That should be limited to Slowkai and any other dev that might be participating. If they ask you a question, of course, be welcome to answer them, but most of them, the English is not quite there besides these 2, so we don't have, Lem, just asking leads to so many opportunities. Well, it was an entire process, and, initially I was happy to be the first North American person to ever run this game, right? In 2024, February, I was the only Iron Saga versus tournament to exist. And then Evo Japan happened, and they didn't stream it. So there was a second tournament, but no one had footage of it. And then UMAD happened, the second Montreal tournament, and I had it again. So we had the first two tournaments in the world that were streamed, the only 2024 tournaments, and I tried to push for more too. I wanted the beta version to be at Vortex Gallery, so online, but unfortunately the timing just wasn't there, and they didn't want to make all of the characters available in the betas for a variety of reasons. So it just didn't work out. And unfortunately, I had to, I was only joining the team late in 2025. I joined in early mid-February, and because of that, I missed Frosty Faustings. Otherwise, I would have gone. I would have organized it there. It would have been pretty hype, but yeah. What kind of game is Resonance? I mean, it's a gacha game first and foremost. I don't really know the details of the gameplay. I didn't get to see a lot of it. I understand it's got some sort of RPG battle mechanic. The theme is you're managing a train in the characters that work on it. And so the idea was a bit like how Iron Saga really went and got the hearts of people who love mecha. Well, the point was to get the train fans in Japan. One thing we don't see a lot as mecha fans, but that's actually, I hate to say it like this, but big in Japan, is the Shinkalion series. So I'll write it out here just so people have the spelling. So Shinkalion series is a series of train transforming mecha. They're all based on train lines in Japan. They're very, very popular with kids. And when you go to a store that sells robot figures, and even just generic toys, which all of them will have some Gundam model kits and stuff like that, but Shinkalion will have a lot of stuff as well. It's very popular with kids over there. They have a lot of merchandise. And so, yeah, the train lines, there's train otaku in Japan. People are just fan of trains. I know online people have been making jokes about how this is also a thing among certain people over here. Shinkalion is pretty dope. I've only seen clips of it online, but it's fun. Yeah, I understand that it has a lot of, combining possibilities. The different robots can combine together in a lot of ways. So, of course, anyone who loves mecha will kind of get excited by that concept, right? So, yeah. But the actual gameplay, I haven't seen enough footage of it. I do know they have beautiful anime ads, so have a look at those, just like Iron Saga older stuff had. But Resonance does not have Shinkalion, I don't think. It does have some pretty interesting collabs, even with some of our Go Nagai mechs. So there's a Mazinger Z train, there's a Boss Borat train, look him up, he's beautiful. And there's some other stuff. I think they had a collab with Cabaneri, the Iron Fortress, an anime that involves a train too. So yeah, some stuff like that, pretty cool stuff, and it has some pretty gorgeous character designs, including Arina, which we had the cosplayer for at Evo Japan. Yeah. Taking one last question. Nope. Maybe we end it like that. I think that'll be it then. Would you be willing to give out your contact for your future developments? I mean, it depends. Are you hiring? My Discord is still on the the official Discord. By this I mean I have the account Iron Monstre. I will not be using it anymore. That's the one I made for work, but the Monstre King is still the one I use personally, and it is on the Iron Saga versus Discord. Probably don't expect me to participate that much. It's kind of this phase of the breakup where you gotta not think about her too much, right? But my love for robots will never die. That's just impossible. And my love for fighting games is also constant. And guess what? This is a robot fighting game, so I remain present, maybe at a distance from the start. We'll see what we get in the future. I'd love to make my own stuff. I'd love to work for... We'll see what other companies... I think, at least, will have some really good views of what I've been making. And of course, if ever Iron Saga makes me a really good offer to come back on, you know, if the winds of change bring it back, well, they know where to find me. Because, yeah, I do love this game. I joined because I believed in it, and there were moments where I felt where, you know, I reignited a bit of hope in some of my coworkers who've been working on it for a long time. This game has had quite a long development cycle, and yeah, I think for a while they were a bit unsure, but you know, I blazed a little bit of excitement with that launch roadmap trailer. So I worked at a various degree on some of the trailers, less so Madzen Kaiser and the more recent Shin Getter. I didn't have that much participation in these, but the Nero trailer I did, you know, an initial draft, and then they did a lot of corrections. But the launch roadmap trailer, I kind of went all in on, in many ways, my masterpiece. I believe it's still the video with the most views on our YouTube channel. Hopefully that changes in the future for them, you know, for the health of the project. But when I got that spark of making Shin Getter turn 2 points in the roadmap into 5, an amazing shower thought. I'm a person that gets ideas in the shower, as cliche that as it is. And when I thought of that, I was like, no, people are gonna go hype about this. Also with Madzen Kaiser and Black Getter, being able to add them, even if it's, you know, as arsenals instead of full 2 arsenal characters, it was still able to bring beautiful art to that launch trailer, and they were also not sure if they should show anything about the story mode yet, and I was like, no, people are going to get hype about this. You're doing something really cool here, and it's time to show it to people so that they have something to look forward to. And yeah, I think even if it's a very, very short slice of it, it gives you a really good idea of what's to come, the good ideas that are being put forward into this strategy story mode. Yeah, so I was really happy to do that. Yeah, that's the hope for it. Would go to have more casual players be interested in it. I understand that's also the goal with having a mobile version, but I don't know the exact plan there, so look forward to it. I'm curious, but... And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lem. Thank you so much, Makoto, and thank you so much, Rising Shogun. I wish I could have done more. It's this weird spot where, you know, maybe it's what they call the old imposter syndrome. It's this weird spot where I constantly feel like I should have done more, because I wish I could have brought more sales to this game. I wish I could have brought it to a more financial viability, but I was in control of only one of the 3 markets with a little bit of influence on the other ones. I only joined very late in the game's development. We are making a game that's overall very niche. You know, it's a fighting game and it's about mecha. Our waifus are limited in how much you see them, how much they have influence inside the game, even with the adding of the cut-ins. It's only if you do certain supers. It's also a tough time financially for a lot of people. I think people have been hit hard by the economy, and there's, at the same time, there's also a lot of games, both fighting games. You know, we launched the same year as City of the Wolves, which had a gigantic marketing campaign, and some of their stuff too. There was, to a lesser degree, whatchamacallit, early on, Virtua Fighter, and then people were apprehensive about 2XKO getting a new beta, and now we just got a ton of other fighting game announcements. There's also Hunter x Hunter game coming out, and now this new Marvel Arc System Works game, and Invincible also getting a tag superhero fighting game, because why not? Why not more superhero tag fighting games, right? Whew. And you know, say what you want about what happened in this situation, but Iron Saga Versus is the first commercial fighting game from China, and there's been other attempts. We've seen that robot game, and that thing just ended up being canned. I forgot the name of it. It had kind of a Street Fighter 4 kind of play style, even more so than I'd say what we ended up with over here at Iron Saga Versus. I forgot the name, but it had like this 2.5D. The characters were modeled in 3D. Yeah. So yeah, it is quite an accomplishment. I hope the plan with the single player game, yeah, the single player mode, which, you know, all we had was an arcade mode and the interesting but still rather limited, what is it called, Simulacrum Chronicle, which is kind of a mission mode basically. But I think having a really solid casual player, single player mode is really important for commercial success in a fighting game, and that's the direction they're taking, right? And better late than never for sure over there. So yeah, hopefully that and the console, because in Japan, you know, like we wanted to do sales at Evo Japan, and we barely made any, because very few people in Japan are PC gamers. Only really hardcore players, but casual players not so much. They're on PlayStation or Switch. Yeah. Rising Thunder. No, it's not Rising Thunder. That Rising Thunder is the one that became 2XKO, right? No, I forgot the name. I'll find you later if you're curious. If anything, you contributed to a piece of history, not only an Iron Saga, Mazinger, and Get a Robo franchise. Again, we really look forward to any future prospects, and it was an honor having you. Thank you very much, Sonic fan. Another thing I contributed to the game, which could have changed later, but I don't know if they would have went through with it. Boss Borod and Get a Robo possibly would be called Boss Robot and Get a Robot, if not for me. So, you know, a little correction there. It's a very minor detail, but it still feels kind of funky. I was worried how niche it was, but I heavily respect making a fighting game focused on mecha in spite of that. I mean, I think it's a solid product. Again, I believed in it, right? I joined in it because I believed in it. I thought there was something solid that was made. The game functions well. There's been a few bugs, but they've been good about fixing them. The online, considering how, you know, it's their first time making rollback netcode, it works really well. The game is pretty well balanced, you know, like, look at this tier list. This is my opinion, and only one character I think is not viable. They need to work on him. Everything else, like even C tier, it's usable. Sorry for Susano, Arsenal 2. It's usable. It's a shadow of its former self, you know, like the old one, like I said. Yeah, middle of B easily. Maybe top 2. Top of B, not top 2 characters. But yeah, now it suffered quite a bit. Metal Revolution, thank you, Lem. There's the man who would know a lot about more obscure fighting games. Lem, not only the winner of Combo Breaker Iron Saga Versus, but also a frequent runner of mystery games at fighting game tournaments. He's very knowledgeable about pretty much every fighting game you can imagine. So yeah, Metal Revolution, I think that's the one. There was also another one that was KOF inspired, plus a weird subscription based one. I don't know. There's been attempts, but never anything that released commercially like this. I wanted to try it, but after beta, I wasn't allowed to play it in the States. And now it's canned, right? Like, it's gone. They just canceled it. It's sad, because it looked cool, too, right? And got robots, and turns out I like robots. But, nope. Did not happen. Well, it'll be sad. It'll be sad to leave this beautiful project, this beautiful team I've talked with through the use of Google Translate for a lot of them, but I've talked with some amazing people. I think I will have to make some shout outs to the team. I did yell at them a little bit to include a romanized version of their name in the credits, because people who do not speak Chinese cannot read Chinese characters, it turns out. I will include it again in the report. But in China, it's very popular to not use your given name in English letters, and instead to come up with one for usage in English instead. That's basically how they proceed with it. To me, it's a bit surprising. My first name is French, and anyone who's not French, they'll not pronounce it the right way when they see it, and I don't care. That's just the way things are, man. So it's, yeah, people won't pronounce Chinese names well either, but if your name is not, you know, like generic American name, no one pronounces it right. But, yeah, shout-outs. First and foremost, to Boer. Boer, I've nicknamed him my brother. Boer is the man who got me on the project after the departure of the previous person who was in charge of the English-speaking region. Boer saw that there was a need to fill a void, and despite him not being in a leadership position, he approached leadership. He talked to them about me, and he said, hey, let's see what this guy can do, right? He believed in me at a moment where, you know, like that meant a lot to me. He's also a very skilled game designer, very hardworking man. I wish I could translate this to Chinese right now, but fortunately my Chinese, as I said, really bad. But yeah, Boer, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate what you did. In the same category, Wara, also a designer, came in through Boer as well, so Boer, lots of influence within the project. Wara, really skilled designer. He assisted me when we went to Evo Japan, despite not speaking a word of English or Japanese. Oh, okay, he speaks a few words of English, but his English very limited. Still, very hardworking man, talented designer, and apparently the best player besides Tiendi at Game.chi for fighting games. So he knows what he's talking about, you know, in both as a designer and as a player. Wara, it was great to work with you too, man. I will shout out Lux. Lux, you're a pillar of this company. I don't know what they do without you. Supporting all of the projects. A lot of amazing work done in English, done in Chinese. Making different departments communicate even when we're so far apart like this. Handling so many elements. Lux, you work hard, sometimes too hard. You worry me, man, but goddamn, you know how to do it. You know how to get things done. Thank you for working with me as well. Chris, you're also a pillar of this company. If either of you fall, I'm worried. If both of you fall, I don't know what would happen. They need to find replacements for you, and I don't know where they look. Chris, the true polyglot of the company, speaking Chinese, Japanese, English, probably more. Chris, you've been incredibly valuable in our trip to Japan. You've been trusting in me despite not being in the Iron Saga versus project when I first started working here, helping me communicate with some of the other departments just like Lux did. Chris, you know what you're doing, and that's not about to stop. I think your experience is only going to get better, and companies, you know, like Game Dutchie needs to hold on tight to you. Otherwise, someone else will poach you, man. Let's give a shout out to Gusty, Jehuti, or wait, which one is who? I think they use different names on the Chinese chat app and online. So one of them's Gusty, one of them Baumkuchen, one of them just used Jehuti. Oh, I forgot which is which. One of them is the same. Anyways, two artists, incredible skill, told me so much about the history of the project, about some of the decisions that were taken graphically. Incredible work, guys. We can see, you know, so much work has been put in the visual design of the game, in the animations of the robot. This is done by people who love mecha, who draw mecha, who design mecha, who dream mecha, who have figures upon figures upon figures, and the artists are the ones who brought it to life. Amazing work, guys. I want to shout out Lucy, who's been the Japanese version of me, also unfortunately leaving the company since that's just how's it going for the promo budget, along with Yo Yue too. Both who've been assisting me with making a lot of the images that we've done online. Lucy doing a lot of the Japanese version, social media, everything, helping us set up stuff at Evo Japan. Amazing work, guys. It was awesome. Wanna give a little shout out to someone I only know as Hitomi, who's the language person, helped me determine a lot of the best names for some of the Arsenal attack names. We did that together along with Lux too, who's kind of our translation bridge. Solo Wing Pixie, the audio engineer, who for those who don't know, I'm also the voice of the announcer in the game, the English announcer. Recorded with me, helped direct me, you know, to get the result he was looking for. So thanks for working with me, man. That was also a blast doing those voices. I want to shout out Meow for doing the amazing colorful logo version that we have. Initially, we only had the flat black and white, and Meow came up with this really, really good logo, and I requested one was made. Really cool stuff. And shout outs to Fat Tiger, our boss. That's how people call him, or Mega Giant, depending on how you want to see it. There's various translations. His love of mecha is what made Iron Saga possible. Shoutouts to John for helping organize a lot of the financial side of things, and along with along with the rest of the finance team. And a final shout out to the general, the lead dev, designer, programmer, in charge of the balance team. General, it's been an honor to serve in the game Duchy Iron Saga versus Army. General, we had quite a few things to talk about here and there. But no matter what the result, was a beautiful game. You've made great things, and I know you'll continue to make great things. I look forward to see your work. It's been a blast. Yes, Lem, I am the voice in the Iron Saga versus announcer. And it's always funny to see people realize it. I can voice act. It turns out I like to talk. It turns out the guy who just did 2-3 hour streams in the same day likes to talk. Yeah. And so I take my leave. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this, whether you're watching live or coming across this in our YouTube channel. I will see you again soon. Again, as I said, I remain present in the Iron Saga versus community. Maybe I will be a little, less of a constant for the next few months, but I'll be there. I'll be watching, occasionally showing up here and there. I hope I've provided you with enough. Now it is upon the rest of the Game Duchy Iron Saga versus team. I entrust you, Iron Saga versus. Do well with this, my friends. I know you can do it. And to the fans, a gigantic thank you. I hope you get to keep playing this game. I hope you keep enjoying it. But you've shown me your mecha passion, and it was lovely throughout. Take care, my friends. I'll see you soon. Monstre.